What happens when Naruto's relentless spirit merges with Kenpachi's bloodthirsty savagery? We're witnessing the birth of an unstoppable demon warrior whose hunger for battle knows no bounds. This fusion of raw power and unhinged fury will leave you speechless. Brace yourself for absolute chaos incarnate.
The ground exploded beneath Naruto's feet as he planted his blade through his opponent's shoulder, pinning the man to the earth like an insect. Blood sprayed across the blonde's face, and his grin only widened. "Come on, that's it!" Naruto's voice dripped with disappointment as golden energy, not quite chakra, not quite anything the shinobi world had seen before, erupted from his body in crushing waves. "I haven't even taken off my eye patch yet." The missing 9 beneath him, some A-rank criminal from Iwa's bingo book, could barely breathe under the pressure. His bones creaked, his vision blurred. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He'd killed 17 shonen. He'd mastered 3 forbidden techniques. He was supposed to be dangerous. But the kid standing over him, this 13-year-old monster wearing an eye patch over his left eye and grinning like a demon, wasn't even breathing hard. You know what the best part is? Naruto yanked his sword free, the nameless blade dripping crimson. "This?" He tapped the black eye patch covering his left eye. "This thing seals away about 90% of my power, makes fights last longer, more fun that way." The missing 9's eyes went wide. 90%? Yeah. Naruto's grin turned manic. "Want to see what happens when I take it off?" But we're getting ahead of ourselves. To understand how Naruto Uzumaki became the battle beast of Konoha, to understand how a kid born with the most terrifying power the village had ever seen came to wear that eye patch and hunt strong opponents like a shark smelling blood, we need to go back, way back. 6 years earlier, Naruto Uzumaki was 7 years old and absolutely bored out of his mind. The academy was torture, but not the fun kind. The kind where you had to sit still and listen to some shonen drone on about the history of the first Hokage, or the importance of teamwork, or whatever bullshit they thought mattered. Naruto didn't care about any of that. He cared about one thing and one thing only: fighting. It wasn't that he wanted to hurt people, well, okay, maybe a little. But what he really craved was the rush, the thrill, the moment when fists connected and everything else fell away, and there was just you and your opponent and the question of who was stronger. The problem was, nobody at the academy could give him that rush. They were all too weak. He'd figured that out on his first day when some kid twice his size tried to bully him and ended up with a broken nose and 3 missing teeth. Naruto hadn't even meant to hit him that hard. It just happened. His body moved on instinct, and suddenly the bigger kid was on the ground crying, and everyone was staring at him like he'd grown a second head. The teacher started watching him after that, keeping him away from the other students during sparring, making him practice alone. They said it was for everyone's safety, but Naruto knew the truth. They were scared of him. Good. Fear meant respect. Fear meant strength, but it also meant he was bored as hell. That's why, on a random Tuesday afternoon when he was supposed to be studying calligraphy or some other useless crap, Naruto snuck out of the academy and wandered into the market district. He wasn't looking for anything in particular, just somewhere that wasn't the academy and wasn't the lonely apartment he'd been stuck in since he could remember. The villagers gave him the usual looks, the whispers, the not-so-subtle stepping away when he got too close. Naruto was used to it by now. He didn't know why they hated him. Something about a demon or a monster or whatever. But he'd stopped caring somewhere around age 5. If they wanted a monster, he'd give them a monster. He was contemplating stealing some dango just to piss people off when he saw it. An Anbu operative was standing on a rooftop across the street, barely visible in the fading sunlight. Most people wouldn't have noticed him. That was kind of the point of Anbu. But Naruto's eyes were sharp. Always had been. But it wasn't the Anbu that caught his attention. It was the sword on his back. Naruto had seen plenty of weapons before. Kunai, shuriken, the occasional tanto. But this was different. This was a proper sword, gleaming and deadly, and something about it made his heart race in a way nothing else ever had. He wanted one. No, he needed one. The Ambu noticed him staring and vanished in a blur of movement, but it was too late. The seed was planted. That night, lying in his bed staring at the ceiling, Naruto couldn't stop thinking about that sword, about how it would feel in his hands, about what he could do with it, about who he could fight. He fell asleep with a grin on his face and dreamed of blood and steel and opponents strong enough to make him try. When he woke up, there was a sword lying next to him. Naruto bolted upright, heart pounding. The blade was simple, no fancy decorations or elaborate craftsmanship, just a straight katana with a worn handle and a blade that seemed to drink in the morning light. It looked old, used, perfect. He had no idea where it came from. He grabbed it anyway. The moment his fingers wrapped around the handle, something inside him clicked. It felt right, natural. Like the sword was an extension of his arm, a part of him that had been missing his entire life. Golden energy exploded from his body, shattering his bedroom window and cracking the walls. Naruto gasped as the power flooded through him, overwhelming, intoxicating, dangerous. It wasn't chakra, though it felt similar. It was something else, something primal and violent and absolutely perfect. His spiritual pressure, though he wouldn't learn that term for years, crashed through the apartment building like a tidal wave. Somewhere below him, he heard people screaming. The building shook, dust rained from the ceiling, and Naruto laughed. He laughed because for the first time in his life, he felt complete. The boredom, the frustration, the constant itch under his skin that nothing could scratch, it all made sense now. He was born for this, born for battle, born to fight and grow stronger and find opponents who could push him to his limits. The power eventually faded, settling into his body like a sleeping beast. Naruto looked down at the sword in his hands and grinned. "You and me?" he said to the blade. "We're gonna have some fun." The academy instructors noticed the change immediately. Naruto showed up the next day with the sword strapped to his back, because where the hell else was he going to put it? And suddenly he wasn't just dangerous, he was lethal. During their first sparring session, he accidentally cut another student's training sword clean in half. During the second session, he moved so fast the Chunin instructor couldn't track him. By the third session, they stopped letting him participate altogether. "Uzumaki, you're too rough," the instructor said, trying to sound stern but mostly sounding nervous. "You could seriously hurt someone." "Yeah, that's kind of the point of fighting," Naruto shot back. "What, you want me to just stand there and let them hit me?" "I want you to show some restraint." Naruto stared at him. "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." They sent him to the Hokage. Hiruzen Sarutobi was old, like really old, but his eyes were still sharp when Naruto walked into his office. The third Hokage sat behind his desk, smoking his pipe and studying the blonde kid who'd been causing headaches for the academy instructors. "Naruto," Hiruzen said calmly, "I've been hearing some concerning reports about you. If it's about the training dummy I destroyed, that thing was asking for it. It's about your behavior in general." Hiruzen leaned forward. "Your instructors say you're too aggressive, too violent. They're worried you might hurt another student." Naruto shrugged. "Then they should get stronger students." "That's not how it works." "Why not?" Naruto's eyes narrowed. "Everyone's so worried about people getting hurt, but we're training to be shinobi, right? We're supposed to fight. We're supposed to get stronger. So what's the problem if I'm better at it than everyone else?" Hiruzen was quiet for a long moment, studying the boy in front of him. There was something different about Naruto, something that went beyond his Jinchuriki status. The power radiating from him was unlike anything the Hokage had felt before, and that sword on his back. "Where did you get that blade?" Hiruzen asked. "Found it." "You found it?" "Yeah." Naruto's hand moved to the sword's handle. "It was just there one morning, like it was waiting for me." "And you've been training with it?" "Every day." Naruto's grin returned. "Want to see what I can do?" "That won't be necessary." Hiruzen took a long pull from his pipe. "Naruto, I'm going to assign you a private instructor, someone who can help you channel your enthusiasm in a more productive direction. I don't need an instructor. I need opponents. You're 7 years old. So I'm strong enough to fight Chunin, probably Jonin too." The scary thing was, Hiruzen wasn't entirely sure the boy was wrong. The spiritual pressure he'd sensed when Naruto gripped his sword handle, brief as it was, had been immense, raw and unrefined, but immense. Nevertheless, Hiruzen said carefully, you'll work with this instructor until I'm satisfied you can control yourself. Is that understood? Naruto looked ready to argue, but something in the Hokage's tone made him pause. This wasn't a suggestion. It was an order. Fine, Naruto muttered. But they better be strong, old man. I'm not wasting my time with some weakling. The instructor turned out to be an Anbu operative named Yugao Uzuki. She was tall, purple-haired, and carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who knew exactly how dangerous they were. She also had a sword, a proper katana that made Naruto's eyes light up the moment he saw it. You're the one who's been causing trouble at the academy, Yugao said when they met at Training Ground 3. It wasn't a question. I'm the one who's too strong for the academy, Naruto corrected. There's a difference. Is there? Yugao drew her blade in one smooth motion. Show me. Naruto didn't need to be told twice. He charged forward, his nameless sword already swinging in a wide arc that should have been easy to block. Yugao raised her blade to parry and nearly lost her grip when the force of Naruto's strike crashed into her guard like a battering ram. She backflipped away, eyes wide behind her Anbu mask. What the? Naruto was already moving, his grin manic as he pressed his attack. His technique was rough, unpolished, more instinct than training. But the power behind each swing was insane. And his speed. How was a 7-year-old academy student this fast? Yugao found herself actually having to try. Having to use real technique instead of just going through the motions. Naruto's fighting style was wild and unpredictable, but there was a strange intelligence to it. He adapted mid-fight, learning from each exchange, getting faster and stronger with every passing second. It was terrifying. It was also kind of exhilarating. Not bad, kid, Yugao said as she deflected another strike. But you're too wild, too unfocused. A real opponent would exploit that. Then exploit it, Naruto shot back. Stop holding back and fight me for real. You want me to fight for real? Yugao's voice took on an edge. Fine. She poured chakra into her blade and moved, really moved, blurring across the training ground and appearing behind Naruto with her sword aimed at his neck. The words died in her throat. Naruto had blocked her, not through skill or technique, but through sheer instinct. His blade had moved on its own, his body reacting before his conscious mind could process the threat, and the smile on his face was absolutely unhinged. Yeah, Naruto breathed. That's more like it. Golden energy erupted from his body, and Yugao suddenly found herself struggling to breathe. The pressure, the sheer spiritual weight pressing down on her, was overwhelming. She'd felt killing intent before. She'd faced Jonin and missing Nin, and once even crossed blades with one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. This was different. This wasn't killing intent. This was something primal. Something that screamed predator on a level that made her instincts scream at her to run. Naruto swung his sword in a casual arc, and Yugao barely managed to dodge as the blade carved a trench through the training ground where she'd been standing. Okay, she said, breathing hard. Okay, I believe you now. Believe what? Naruto tilted his head, genuinely confused. That you're too strong for the academy. Yugao straightened, trying to regain her composure, and that you need special training. Because if you don't learn to control that power, you're going to kill someone by accident. Naruto's grin faded slightly. I can control it. Can you? Yugao gestured at the training ground, which now looked like it had been hit by a small earthquake. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're barely holding it together. She wasn't wrong. The power thrumming through Naruto's body felt limitless, and the longer he fought, the harder it was to contain. It wanted to be released. It wanted to destroy and crush and prove its dominance over everything around it, and part of him, the part that lived for battle, wanted to let it. Fine, Naruto said after a moment. Teach me to control it, but only if you promise to fight me for real sometimes. If you can learn to control yourself, Yugao said, I'll fight you as much as you want. That was all the motivation Naruto needed. The next 3 years were a blur of training, fighting, and growth. Yugao taught him the basics of swordsmanship, proper stance, form, technique. Though Naruto's fighting style remained aggressively unorthodox. She also taught him about chakra control, which turned out to be surprisingly important for managing the golden spiritual pressure that constantly leaked from his body. But the most important lesson came about 6 months into their training, when Naruto accidentally destroyed half of Training Ground 7 during a sparring session. "You need a limiter," Yugao said, staring at the devastation. "Something to keep your power in check when you're not actively fighting." "That's boring," Naruto complained. "I want to get stronger, not weaker." "It's not about getting weaker. It's about control." Yugao crossed her arms. "Right now, your power is leaking out constantly. You're wasting energy even when you're standing still. A limiter would help you contain that energy until you actually need it." "And how exactly am I supposed to do that?" "Fuinjutsu, sealing techniques." Yugao pulled out a scroll. "I'm not an expert, but I know some basics. We could create a seal that restricts your spiritual pressure to a manageable level." Naruto perked up. "And then when I take it off, I get all my power back?" "In theory." "That's actually not a terrible idea." Naruto rubbed his chin. "It'd make fights last longer, more fun that way." Yugao wasn't sure if she should be concerned or impressed by his reasoning, but she helped him design the seal anyway. It took weeks of trial and error and several more destroyed training grounds, but they eventually created something that worked: an eye patch. It was simple, elegant, and most importantly, it sealed away roughly 90% of Naruto's spiritual pressure. With it on, he was still strong, stronger than most Genin and probably some Chunin, but he wasn't accidentally crushing people under his presence anymore. "How does it feel?" Yugao asked when Naruto first put it on. "Weird," Naruto admitted. "Like I'm moving underwater. Everything's slower, heavier." "That's because you're finally feeling your own weight instead of being carried by your spiritual pressure." "I don't like it." "You'll get used to it." Yugao smiled behind her mask. "And when you take it off in a real fight, your opponent won't know what hit them." That thought made Naruto grin. He started wearing the eye patch constantly, only removing it when he wanted to end a fight quickly or when facing an opponent who genuinely excited him. It became his signature, the battle beast of Konoha's, tell that things were about to get serious. During those 3 years, word spread about the kid with the eye patch and the monstrous power. Jonin started requesting to spar with him just to test themselves. Anbu operatives would show up at his training sessions to watch. Even some of the clan heirs began paying attention to the blonde orphan who could apparently go toe-to-toe with Chunin at age 9. Naruto loved every second of it. By the time he turned 10 and officially graduated from the academy, through a special exam because he'd been training with Yugao instead of attending classes, his reputation was already established. The battle beast of Konoha, a kid who lived for fighting and only got stronger the longer a battle lasted. A monster with a grin that promised violence and a sword that drank blood without mercy. The Genin instructors drew lots to see who would have to deal with him. Kakashi Hatake lost. "So you're my sensei?" Naruto sized up the silver-haired Jonin standing in front of him. "You don't look that tough." Kakashi's visible eye crinkled in what might have been amusement. "And you must be Naruto Uzumaki. I've heard quite a bit about you." "Yeah? Like what?" "That you're strong, aggressive, and have absolutely no sense of self-preservation." Kakashi pulled out an orange book. "Also that you've sent 4 Genin and 2 Chunin to the hospital in the past year." "They were weak," Naruto said with a shrug. "Not my fault." Kakashi studied the boy in front of him. The eye patch was new. Yugao had mentioned something about a seal, but the sword on his back and the manic energy radiating from him were exactly as described. "Well, before we get started, you should meet your teammates." "Teammates?" Naruto's face fell. "I have to work with other people? That's generally how Genin teams work, yes? That's gonna be boring." "Maybe." Kakashi gestured to 2 other kids standing nearby. "This is Karin Uzumaki and Haku Yuki. They'll be working with you from now on." Naruto glanced at them without much interest. The red-haired girl, Karin, was staring at him with wide eyes and a slight blush. The pretty boy with long dark hair, Haku, looked calm and composed. Neither of them looked particularly strong. "Great," Naruto muttered. "I get stuck with the weak ones." "Actually," Kakashi said mildly, "Karin has exceptional sensory abilities and massive chakra reserves, and Haku is the last survivor of the Yuki clan with a rare ice-based bloodline limit. They're both quite talented." "Can they fight? Define fight. Can they take a punch without crying? Can they push me? Can they make me try? Naruto's grin was sharp, because if not, they're just gonna slow me down. Karen bristled. I'm not weak. Prove it. Naruto drew his sword in one smooth motion. Spar with me. Naruto, Kakashi said warningly, this isn't the time. I'll do it. Haku interrupted quietly. His dark eyes met Naruto's, and there was something in them, not quite confidence, but not quite fear either. Determination, maybe. If it'll help us work together, I'll spar with you. Naruto's grin widened. Now we're talking. The spar lasted exactly 12 seconds. Haku was fast, genuinely fast, with an ice-based technique that created mirrors and allowed him to move between them at incredible speed. It was impressive, creative, the kind of thing that would give most Genin serious trouble. Naruto didn't even remove his eye patch. He simply waited until Haku appeared in front of him, then swung his sword in a wide arc that shattered 3 ice mirrors and sent the boy flying backwards into a tree. Not bad, Naruto said, lowering his blade. You're faster than most Genin, but you're still too weak. Haku coughed, struggling to sit up. How did you? Instinct. Naruto sheathed his sword. You might be fast, but your killing intent gives away your position. I knew where you'd appear before you got there. Haku shook his head, wincing. That's impossible. I've trained for years to hide my presence. Maybe you're just not that good at it. Kakashi sighed. This was going to be a long few months, but as he watched Naruto help Haku to his feet, roughly, but without actual malice, and saw Karen already running through medical techniques to check for injuries, he had to admit there was potential here. Not as a traditional team maybe, but as something else, something interesting. All right, Kakashi said, clapping his hands together. Now that we've established Naruto can beat up his teammates. I went easy on him, Naruto interjected. We should probably discuss how we're actually going to function as a unit. By letting me handle all the fighting? Naruto suggested hopefully. By learning to work together, Kakashi corrected. You might be strong, Naruto, but even you can't be everywhere at once. That's where your teammates come in. I still think they're going to slow me down. Then it's a good thing you're not the team leader. Kakashi's eye crinkled again. I am. And I say we're going to do some D-rank missions to build teamwork before we even think about anything more dangerous. Naruto groaned. D-rank missions? You mean like catching cats and pulling weeds? Exactly like that. I'm gonna die of boredom. Try not to, Kakashi said cheerfully. It'd be a lot of paperwork. The D-rank missions were exactly as terrible as Naruto feared. Catching Tora the cat, which Naruto did by simply standing still and letting the demon feline attack him before grabbing it by the scruff, took 5 minutes and left him so bored he almost fell asleep standing up. Painting a fence took 3 hours and ended with Naruto accidentally destroying half of it out of frustration. Weeding a garden lasted until Naruto got so annoyed that he released a tiny bit of his spiritual pressure and scared all the weeds into withering on their own. Kakashi made him replant them by hand. The only bright spot was watching his teammates. Karen turned out to be surprisingly useful for tracking and sensing danger, and her chakra reserves were indeed massive. Haku was graceful and intelligent, good at planning and tactics, even if he couldn't match Naruto in raw power. They weren't completely useless, Naruto admitted grudgingly. Just mostly useless. After 2 weeks of D-rank torture, Kakashi finally took pity on them. We're taking a C-rank mission, he announced one morning. Naruto perked up immediately. C-rank? That means actual fighting, right? It means bandits, probably. Maybe some basic combat. Kakashi pulled out a mission scroll. We're escorting a bridge builder back to the land of waves. Should be straightforward. Should be is code for definitely won't be, Karen muttered. She wasn't wrong. They met their client, a drunk old man named Tazuna, who immediately started complaining about kids being assigned to protect him. At the village gates, Naruto took one look at the bridge builder and snorted. This guy's hiding something, he said bluntly. What? I'm not hiding anything, Tazuna protested. I'm just a simple bridge builder. Simple bridge builders don't flinch when I mention bandits. Simple bridge builders don't have calluses from holding weapons. And simple bridge builders definitely don't smell like they've been around shinobi recently. Naruto's eyes narrowed. You're lying about the mission rank, aren't you? Kakashi looked mildly impressed. Good instincts, Naruto. Though maybe we could have been more diplomatic about it. Why? He's lying. We should just leave him. We can't do that, Kakashi said slowly. We've already accepted the mission. Then he should pay more. Tazuna sputtered. Pay more? I can barely afford a C rank. Do you have any idea how expensive shinobi are? Not my problem. Naruto turned to leave. Come on, team. Let's find a real mission. Wait. Tazuna grabbed his arm. Please, I need your help. There's a tyrant controlling my country, a criminal named Gato. He's the one who's been... Still don't care, Naruto interrupted. Unless Gato's strong enough to give me a good fight, I'm not interested. He has shinobi working for him. Dangerous ones. That got Naruto's attention. How dangerous? I don't know exactly, but they killed several samurai who tried to oppose Gato. They're supposed to be really powerful. And Naruto looked at Kakashi. Can we keep the mission? If Tazuna agrees to pay the difference between C rank and B rank when we get back, Kakashi said diplomatically. B rank? But I told you I can't. Then enjoy walking home alone, Naruto said cheerfully. I'm sure Gato's mercenaries will be real understanding. Tazuna caved. They left for Wave Country that afternoon, and Naruto spent the entire journey hoping the dangerous shinobi would be worth fighting. The attack came on the second day of travel. They were crossing through a forested area when Naruto felt it, a spike of killing intent from the trees ahead. Weak, but focused. Predatory, his grin was immediate. Finally, he breathed. Kakashi-sensei, we've got company. I know. Kakashi's hand moved toward his kunai pouch. Stay alert, everyone. Karen, what are you sensing? 2 signatures ahead, Karen reported, her eyes closed in concentration. Chunin-level chakra. They're waiting in ambush. Only Chunin? Naruto sounded disappointed. That's barely worth stopping for. We should still be careful, Haku said quietly. They might be stronger than they appear. Doubt it. The ambush came 30 seconds later when 2 missing nin burst from the trees, their chain-wrapped arms lashing out toward Tazuna. They were fast. Genuinely fast. And their coordination was excellent. Against a normal Genin team, they probably would have succeeded. Against Naruto, they didn't stand a chance. He moved before his teammates could react, his sword clearing its sheath with a metallic whisper. Golden energy flared around him, not much, just enough to make the air feel heavy. And then he was in front of the attackers, his blade swinging in a lazy arc. The first missing nin barely had time to widen his eyes before Naruto's sword cut through his chain, his arm, and most of his torso in one smooth motion. The second tried to retreat, but Naruto grabbed him by the throat and slammed him into the ground hard enough to crack the earth. That all you got? Naruto asked, disappointed. I didn't even need to try. The missing nin coughed blood, his eyes rolling back. We were just hired. By who? Demon brothers sent by Gato. And who else is working for this Gato guy? Anyone actually strong? The missing 9 passed out before he could answer. Naruto dropped him with a disgusted sound. Useless. Naruto, Kakashi said carefully. You just killed a man. Yeah, and? You're 10 years old. So? Naruto turned to face his sensei, genuinely confused. He tried to kill our client. I defended him. That's how being a shinobi works, right? Kakashi studied the boy in front of him. There was no trauma in Naruto's eyes, no shock or horror at having taken a life. Just mild disappointment that the fight hadn't been more exciting. It was concerning. It was also exactly what he'd been told to expect. You're not wrong, Kakashi said eventually, but most genin have some kind of reaction to their first kill. You seem unbothered. Why would I be bothered? Fighting is what I'm good at. Killing is just part of that. Naruto sheathed his sword. Besides, they were weak. No point getting emotional over weaklings. Karen looked slightly green. Haku was pale but composed, and Kakashi was seriously reconsidering his career choices. Well, the Jonin said with forced cheer, at least we know the mission is definitely higher than C rank now. Good, Naruto said. Maybe the next guys will actually be worth fighting. They continued toward Wave Country, and Naruto's anticipation grew with every step. The next attack came when they were halfway across the bridge to Wave. This time, it wasn't some random Chunin thugs. This time, the killing intent that washed over them was Jonin level at minimum. Cold and precise and absolutely hungry. Naruto's grin could have split his face in half. Now we're talking, he breathed. Mist rolled across the bridge, thick and cloying, reducing visibility to almost nothing. Kakashi immediately pushed Tazuna behind him, his Sharingan eye uncovered and spinning. Karen and Haku took defensive positions, their backs to each other, and Naruto walked forward into the mist like he was taking a stroll. Come out, wherever you are," he called, his voice echoing strangely. "I can feel you hiding, waiting, planning." His grin widened. "It won't matter. You're gonna fight me one way or another." A voice emerged from the mist, deep and cold. "Cocky brat, you have no idea who you're dealing with." "Zabuza Momochi," Kakashi said grimly, "the demon of the hidden mist. An A-rank missing nin known for his brutal assassination techniques and mastery of silent killing." "Never heard of him," Naruto said cheerfully. "Is he strong?" "Very." "Perfect." Before Kakashi could stop him, Naruto released a pulse of spiritual pressure that shredded the mist technique like tissue paper. The thick fog evaporated in an instant, revealing a tall man wrapped in bandages and carrying a massive cleaver-like sword. Zabuza's eyes widened behind his mask. "What the hell was that?" "That," Naruto said, drawing his own blade, "was me saying hi. Now let's fight for real." He charged. Zabuza was a Jonin-level combatant with decades of experience and a reputation for brutality that made Chunin wet themselves. He'd killed his entire academy class during graduation. He'd nearly staged a successful coup against the Mizukage. He was one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, wielder of Kubikira Bocho, the executioner's blade. And Naruto, still wearing his eye patch and fighting at maybe 20% of his true power, matched him blow for blow. Their swords clashed with enough force to crack the bridge beneath them. Zabuza's eyes were wide with disbelief as this kid, this 10-year-old genin who shouldn't even be able to lift a blade that size, drove him backwards with pure aggressive power. "What the hell are you?" Zabuza snarled, switching to his water-style jutsu. Water-style, water dragon jutsu. A massive dragon made of water erupted from the ocean below, roaring as it crashed toward Naruto. Naruto didn't even slow down. He swung his sword in a single, devastating arc, and the water dragon split in half before dissolving into harmless spray. "Is that really the best you've got?" Naruto's voice dripped with disappointment. "Come on, Zabuza. You're supposed to be an A-rank threat. Show me something interesting." Zabuza's response was to blur through hand seals and create a dozen water clones that attacked from every angle. Naruto destroyed them all in 3 seconds flat, his blade moving in patterns that were more instinct than technique. Each clone dissolved the moment his sword touched it, and then Naruto was in front of the real Zabuza, his blade pressed against the missing nin's throat. "Boring," Naruto said flatly. "You're no better than those Chunin idiots who attacked us before, just another weakling pretending to be strong." Something in Zabuza's expression shifted. The fear was still there, but now there was also anger, pride, the kind of emotion that made men do stupid things. "You want to see something interesting?" Zabuza's voice was low and dangerous. "Fine, but don't blame me when you die, brat." He formed a single hand seal, and the water around the bridge began to rise. Water prison jutsu. The sphere of water engulfed them both, trapping them inside a dome of compressed liquid. Zabuza grinned behind his mask, confident in his victory. The water prison was inescapable. The brat would drown in minutes, and then Naruto yawned. "This is your big technique? Trapping us in a ball of water?" He looked genuinely bored. "You know I can just break out, right? The water prison is unbreakable from the inside. You can struggle all you want, but..." Naruto's spiritual pressure exploded outward, and the water prison shattered like glass. Zabuza stumbled backwards, his eyes wide. That's impossible." "You keep saying things are impossible," Naruto said, water dripping from his hair. "But I keep doing them anyway. Maybe you should raise your expectations." He was done playing. Naruto reached up and gripped his eye patch, and Zabuza's instinct screamed at him to run. "You've been fighting me at 20%. Naruto said, his grin turning manic. "Let's see how you do against 30. He removed the eye patch. The spiritual pressure that erupted from Naruto's body was like standing next to an exploding volcano. The bridge cracked beneath him. The water around them churned into massive waves. Even Kakashi, standing 50 feet away, staggered under the weight of it. And Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist, understood for the first time in his life what true terror felt like. "Oh God," he whispered. "What are you?" "Me?" Naruto's laugh was unhinged. I'm the battle beast of Konoha, and you just made my day interesting. The fight that followed wasn't really a fight at all. It was a massacre. Naruto moved like a force of nature, his blade carving through Zabuza's defenses like they didn't exist. Every strike carried enough force to shatter stone. Every movement left afterimages that made the missing nine question which was real. And that pressure, that overwhelming spiritual weight that crushed down on him from all sides, made it hard to think, hard to breathe, hard to do anything except try desperately to survive. Zabuza threw everything he had at the kid. Water clones, water dragons, water walls, even his prized silent killing technique. Nothing worked. Naruto either destroyed it with casual swings of his sword, or simply ignored it and kept advancing. Come on! Naruto's voice was wild with excitement. You're an A-rank missing nine, the demon of the hidden mist. You're supposed to be dangerous. Fight harder. Make me try. I'm trying. Zabuza gasped, blood running from a dozen cuts across his body. You're just too strong. Then get stronger. Naruto grabbed Zabuza by the throat and slammed him into the bridge hard enough to leave a crater. Grow. Adapt. Become the opponent I need you to be. But Zabuza couldn't. He was already at his limit, already pushing past injuries that should have killed him, already operating on pure survival instinct instead of skill. He was going to die here. The thought was strangely freeing. Fine, Zabuza said, his voice barely a whisper. If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. He formed one final hand seal, pouring every last drop of chakra into his ultimate technique. Water style, great exploding water colliding wave. The ocean itself rose up in a tsunami that could have wiped out a small village, crashing down toward the bridge with enough force to destroy everything in its path. Naruto grinned. Now we're talking. He gripped his sword with both hands, settling into a stance that felt right on an instinctual level. Golden spiritual pressure flowed along the blade, making it glow like molten gold. And then he swung. The tsunami split down the middle. Not diverted, not redirected. Split, cleaved in half by a single sword swing that carried so much power it created a vacuum in the air that sucked the separated water away from the bridge entirely. Zabuza stared. Kakashi stared. Even Naruto looked mildly impressed. Huh, Naruto said, examining his blade. Didn't know I could do that. Zabuza collapsed, unconscious from chakra exhaustion and blood loss. Naruto walked over to the missing nine's body and stared down at it for a long moment. Part of him, the part that lived for battle, wanted to finish the job, wanted to claim his victory completely, but the larger part was disappointed. You were strong, Naruto said quietly. Stronger than most people I've fought, but you weren't strong enough. Not even close. He replaced his eye patch, sealing his power back down to manageable levels. The oppressive spiritual pressure faded, and suddenly everyone could breathe again. Sensei, Naruto called. What do we do with him? Kakashi was still processing what he just witnessed. That final sword swing, the sheer power required to split a jutsu of that magnitude, was beyond anything he'd expected from a genin. Beyond what most jonin could accomplish. The battle beast of Konoha, indeed. We take him prisoner, Kakashi said eventually. He has information about Gado's operations that could be valuable. Plus, he looked at Zabuza's unconscious form. He might be willing to change sides after this. You did kind of beat the fight out of him. Can I fight him again when he wakes up? Naruto asked hopefully. Absolutely not. What if I promise to go easy? Still no. Naruto pouted but helped secure Zabuza anyway. Karin used her healing abilities to stabilize the missing nin's injuries, and Haku created ice restraints that would hopefully hold him until they reached Wave. The rest of the journey was uneventful, which meant Naruto was bored again. They arrived in Wave Country to find a small fishing village living in fear of Gado's tyranny. Tazuna led them to his house, where his daughter Tsunami and grandson Inari welcomed them with a mix of gratitude and skepticism. These are the shinobi who are going to help us? Inari asked, staring at the group. They're just kids. I'm a kid who just beat an A-rank missing nin, Naruto pointed out. What have you done lately? Naruto? Kakashi said warningly. What? It's true. Inari glared at him. You don't understand. Gado is too powerful. No one can beat him. Everyone who's tried has died. Even my father. The boy's voice cracked. Even my father couldn't protect us. Then your father was weak, Naruto said bluntly. The room went silent. Naruto, Karen hissed. You can't just... It's the truth. Naruto met Inari's tear-filled eyes without flinching. If your father couldn't protect you, then he wasn't strong enough. Simple as that. Getting emotional about it doesn't change anything. You're a monster, Inari whispered. Yeah, probably. Naruto shrugged. But I'm a monster who gets results. Your father tried to inspire hope or whatever and got killed. I'm going to find this Gato guy and crush him so thoroughly that no one in Wave Country will ever be afraid again. Which approach sounds more effective? Tsunami looked ready to throw them out. Yes, but Tazuna placed a hand on her shoulder. He's not wrong, the old bridge builder said quietly. Being nice about it doesn't change the facts. Kaiser tried his best and it wasn't enough. He looked at Naruto. But can you really beat Gato? He has money, mercenaries, probably more shinobi like Zabuza. What makes you so confident? Naruto's grin returned. Because fighting is what I'm good at. And the stronger my opponents, the stronger I get. So bring on your Gato. Bring on his mercenaries. Bring on anyone and everyone who wants to test themselves against me. He gripped his sword handle. I'll crush them all. There was no bravado in his voice, no false confidence or youthful arrogance, just absolute certainty. Kakashi sighed. Well, at least he's consistent. They spent the next week preparing for Gato's inevitable counterattack. Kakashi worked with Karen and Haku on their teamwork and jutsu development. Tsunami and Inari slowly warmed up to the team. Inari especially seemed fascinated by Naruto despite, or maybe because of his brutal honesty. And Naruto trained. He spent hours every day swinging his sword, pushing his body to its limits, trying to recreate that feeling from his fight with Zabuza. That moment when his spiritual pressure had synchronized perfectly with his blade, creating a technique that could split tsunamis. He wanted more of that. Zabuza, now imprisoned in Tazuna's basement and recovering from his injuries, watched Naruto train through a small window. The boy's dedication was insane. His power was terrifying. And his complete lack of fear or hesitation in battle was something Zabuza had only seen in the most experienced jonin. What the hell are you? Zabuza muttered to himself. He's strong, a soft voice said from the shadows. Zabuza's head whipped around to find a masked figure standing in the corner of his cell. Hunter-nin mask, dark clothing, and an aura that screamed Anbu training. Haku, Zabuza said quietly. What are you doing here? The masked figure removed their mask, revealing a beautiful young man with dark hair and gentle eyes. Not the Haku traveling with Team Kakashi, that was a different person entirely, but Zabuza's loyal companion and tool. I came to rescue you, Zabuza-sama, Haku said, but I've been watching that boy, the one with the eye patch. He's beyond us, Zabuza finished. Yeah, I noticed. That's why we're not fighting him again. But Gato hired us to kill Tazuna and stop the bridge. If we don't complete the mission... Screw the mission. Screw Gato. Zabuza met Haku's eyes. I've fought a lot of people in my life. Strong people. Dangerous people. But that kid isn't normal. When he removed his eye patch and unleashed his full power, Zabuza shuddered. It felt like standing next to a natural disaster. Like the ocean itself had taken human form and decided to fight. So what do? We survive. Zabuza leaned back against the wall. And maybe if we're smart, we offer our services to the people protecting this bridge instead of trying to destroy it. Because I've got a feeling that kid is going to kill Gato and everyone working for him. And I'd rather not be on that list. Haku was quiet for a moment. You want to switch sides? I want to not die stupidly, Zabuza corrected. There's a difference. Before Haku could respond, the alarm went up. Gato's army had arrived. There were at least 200 mercenaries surrounding Tazuna's house, all armed and ready for blood. At their head stood Gato himself, a short, greedy-looking man with sunglasses and a cane, flanked by more hired shinobi. Naruto stood on the roof of the house, looking down at the small army, and grinned like it was Christmas morning. Finally, he breathed. A real fight. Naruto, there are too many of them, Karen said from behind him. Even you can't. Watch me. He jumped down into the middle of the mercenary force. The smart ones ran immediately. The dumb ones charged. Naruto's sword sang through the air, each swing cutting down multiple opponents. He didn't bother with fancy techniques or complicated maneuvers, just pure brutal efficiency. Block, slash, kill, step, pivot, destroy. His movements were almost casual, like he was taking a morning stroll instead of fighting for his life. Blood sprayed across his face and he laughed. "Come on! More! Give me more!" The mercenaries discovered very quickly that their numbers didn't matter. Naruto moved through them like a shark through fish, his blade leaving death in its wake. The hired shinobi tried to coordinate their jutsu, fire style, earth style, wind style all launched at once, but Naruto's spiritual pressure simply crushed the techniques before they could fully form. Is this really the best Gato could afford? Naruto sounded genuinely disappointed. I thought there'd be at least a few jonin, maybe some real challenge, but this? He gestured at the mercenaries backing away from him. "This is just boring. You're insane!" Gato screamed from his position behind his bodyguards. "You're just one kid. Kill him. I'll pay double to whoever brings me his head." The promise of money rallied some of the mercenaries, and they surged forward again. Naruto's grin widened. "Okay," he said, gripping his eye patch. "You asked for it." He removed the seal. The explosion of spiritual pressure was instantaneous and overwhelming. Mercenaries closest to Naruto simply collapsed, their bodies unable to withstand the crushing weight of his presence. Others stumbled, vomiting or passing out. Even Gato, standing 50 feet away, felt like someone had placed a mountain on his chest. "What?" Gato gasped. "What is this?" "This," Naruto said, his voice carrying across the battlefield, "is what happens when you piss off the battle beast of Konoha." He swung his sword in a wide arc, and the resulting shockwave of spiritual pressure mowed down an entire section of mercenaries like they were wheat before a scythe. No blade contact, no physical touch, just pure, condensed power that crushed everything in its path. The mercenary force broke. They scattered in every direction, abandoning their weapons and their employer in a desperate attempt to escape the monster in their midst. Even the hired shinobi fled, their professional pride not worth dying for, which left only Gato, his 2 bodyguards, and about 20 mercenaries too stupid or too greedy to run. "You're the one who's been terrorizing this village," Naruto said, walking toward Gato with slow, deliberate steps. "The one who hired assassins and threatened civilians and thought money made you untouchable." "Stay back!" Gato scrambled backwards. "I'll pay you. Whatever Tazuna's paying, I'll triple it, quadruple it, name your price." "I don't want your money." Naruto's eyes were cold. "I want to know if you're strong enough to be worth killing." "Strong? I'm not a fighter. I'm a businessman." Gato turned to his bodyguards. "Kill him. Earn your pay." The bodyguards, 2 massive men with swords bigger than Naruto, charged forward. Naruto didn't even draw his blade. He simply released another pulse of spiritual pressure, and both bodyguards dropped to their knees, gasping for air. Their swords fell from nerveless fingers. One of them started crying. "Disappointing," Naruto said. He looked at Gato. "Guess you're not worth killing after all. Too weak, too pathetic." Relief flooded Gato's face. Then you'll let me go?" "Didn't say that." Naruto turned to Kakashi, who'd been watching from the sidelines with his team. "Sensei, this guy's committed crimes against Wave Country, right? Extortion, murder, probably a bunch of other stuff?" "That's correct," Kakashi said. "And what's the punishment for that?" "Execution or imprisonment, depending on the severity." Naruto looked back at Gato. "Sounds like execution to me." "Wait, please! I'll disband my company. I'll give all my money to Wave. Just don't." Naruto's blade took Gato's head off in one clean swing. The remaining mercenaries fled. The battlefield went silent except for the sound of waves crashing against the shore. Naruto stood in the middle of the carnage, blood-soaked and grinning, looking more alive than he had in weeks. "That was fun," he said, replacing his eye patch. "Not challenging, but fun." Kakashi walked over, carefully avoiding the bodies. "You just executed a civilian, Naruto." "A civilian who was funding criminal organizations and terrorizing an entire country." Naruto shrugged. "What, you wanted me to let him go?" "I wanted you to understand the implications of killing someone outside of direct combat." "I understand perfectly. He was trash. I took out the trash. Problem solved." There was no arguing with that logic, however brutal it might be. The Wave Country citizens who'd been watching from hiding slowly emerged, their eyes wide with awe and fear as they looked at the blonde kid who just slaughtered an army single-handedly. Tazuna stepped forward, his hands shaking slightly. You actually did it. Gato's gone. We're free." "Yeah." Naruto looked around at the destruction he'd caused. "You're welcome." "How can we ever repay you?" Finish your bridge. Naruto's grin softened slightly. Name it something cool, something that reminds people that monsters can be beaten if you're willing to fight. Tazuna's eyes filled with tears. We'll name it after you, the Great Naruto Bridge. Nah, that's boring. Naruto thought for a moment. Call it the Bridge of Courage. Reminds people to be brave even when things look impossible. It was, Kakashi reflected, possibly the most mature thing he'd heard Naruto say. The moment was ruined when Naruto added, plus it sounds way cooler than the Naruto Bridge. They stayed in Wave for another week while Tazuna made progress on the bridge and the village rebuilt from Gato's influence. Zabuza and his Haku, after some negotiation and a very one-sided sparring match with Naruto, agreed to abandon their missing nin status and work as independent contractors who definitely weren't working for Konoha, but might occasionally help out if the mission sounded interesting. You know the Hokage is going to have questions about this. Kakashi told Naruto, let him ask them. I did my job. The client's safe, the bad guys are dead, and we got some new allies out of it. Naruto stretched. Seems like a win to me. You have a very unconventional definition of success. I have a very effective definition of success, Naruto corrected. There's a difference. The journey back to Konoha was peaceful, which meant Naruto was bored out of his skull by the time they reached the village gates. He was already planning his next training session, already thinking about who he could spar with, already wondering if there were any other A-rank missing nin he could hunt down for a challenge. The battle beast of Konoha was home, and he was hungry for more. News of what happened in Wave spread quickly through the shinobi grapevine. A genin, a 10-year-old genin, had defeated an A-rank missing nin and single-handedly destroyed an entire mercenary army. The reports were so outrageous that most people assumed they were exaggerated, until Kakashi submitted his official mission report. Hiruzen Sarutobi read the document 3 times, smoking his pipe and trying to process what he was seeing. Kakashi, the Hokage said carefully, this report claims that Naruto split a tsunami with a sword swing. That's correct, Hokage-sama, and that he killed over 60 mercenaries in less than 5 minutes. Closer to 3 minutes, actually. And that he executed Gato personally without hesitation or remorse. Also correct. Hiruzen set down the report and massaged his temples. The council is going to have a field day with this. The council can deal with it, Kakashi said mildly. Naruto completed an A-rank mission because, let's be honest, that's what it turned into, with minimal casualties and maximum efficiency. He saved an entire country from a tyrant's influence. If anything, he should be commended. He's also displaying increasingly violent tendencies and a complete lack of empathy for his victims. He's displaying the tendencies of someone who was born to fight and has finally found his purpose. Kakashi leaned back in his chair. I know it's concerning, Hokage-sama, but Naruto isn't malicious. He doesn't hurt people for fun or kill for pleasure. He just sees combat differently than most people. More honestly, maybe. That's what concerns me. Hiruzen looked out his window at the village below. What happens when that honesty turns into brutality? When that love of combat becomes bloodlust? Then we deal with it. But until that happens, I think we should let Naruto be who he is. Kakashi's visible eye crinkled. Besides, having someone that's strong on our side isn't exactly a disadvantage. Hiruzen couldn't argue with that. He approved Kakashi's report and authorized payment for a completed B-rank mission, higher than originally contracted, but lower than what the situation probably deserved. He also made a note to keep a close eye on Naruto's development. The battle beast of Konoha was powerful. The question was whether that power would save the village or destroy it. Over the next 6 months, Team Kakashi took on a series of increasingly difficult missions. Nothing quite as dramatic as Wave, but challenging enough to keep Naruto somewhat interested. They hunted down bandits in the Land of Fire's northern territories. They protected a merchant caravan from ninja bandits. They even took an A-rank mission to infiltrate a criminal organization that was smuggling weapons into the Land of Wind. Every mission ended the same way, with Naruto dominating whatever opponents they faced and looking disappointed that it wasn't harder. I'm getting stronger, Naruto complained one night while they camped, but there's no one to test myself against. Everyone I fight is either too weak to matter or dies too quickly to be fun. Maybe that's a good thing, Haku suggested quietly. Not everyone needs to constantly seek out stronger opponents. Yes, they do. How else are you supposed to grow? Naruto looked genuinely confused. If you're not pushing yourself, not finding people who can challenge you, then what's the point? The point is staying alive, Karen said, which you might want to consider occasionally. Staying alive is easy. Getting stronger is hard. Naruto stared up at the stars. I want to find someone who can make me go all out. Someone who forces me to remove my eye patch and use my real power. Someone who can actually hurt me. That's a concerning life goal, Kakashi observed. It's an honest one. The opportunity Naruto was looking for came in the form of the Chunin exams. Hiruzen announced that Konoha would be hosting the exams that year, and teams from all the major villages would be participating. It was a chance for Genin to prove themselves, for villages to showcase their strength, and for Naruto to finally find some opponents worth fighting. I want in, Naruto said immediately when Kakashi told them about the exams. You've only been a Genin for 7 months, Kakashi pointed out. Most teams wait at least a year before attempting the Chunin exams. Most teams are weak. He's not wrong, Karen admitted. I'm recommending all of you, Kakashi said, pulling out 3 forms. But I want you to understand what you're getting into. The Chunin exams are dangerous. People die. People get permanently injured. It's not like the missions we've been doing where I'm there to back you up. Good, Naruto said. Sounds fun, Kakashi sighed. Why do I even bother? The Chunin exams began 3 weeks later with a written test that Naruto found almost insultingly easy. Not because he was good at academics. He definitely wasn't. But because the whole thing was obviously a test of information gathering and cheating skills rather than actual knowledge. He spent the entire hour watching other Genin try to subtly steal answers and wondering if he should just fail on purpose to move things along faster. The proctor, a scarred Chunin named Ibiki Morino, called time and explained the final question. Either attempt it and risk your entire team failing, or quit now and try again next year. Naruto didn't even wait for him to finish. We're taking the question, he announced. Naruto, Karen hissed. What if we fail? Then we take it again next year. So what? Naruto leaned back in his chair. But we're not going to fail, because failing is boring, and I'm sick of boring. Ibiki looked at the blonde kid with the eye patch and the absolute confidence radiating from him, and made a note to watch that one carefully. The second exam took place in the Forest of Death, a massive training ground filled with dangerous wildlife and even more dangerous Genin teams competing for scrolls. This is more like it, Naruto said, grinning as they entered the forest. Finally, some actual fighting. He wasn't disappointed. Their first encounter came with a team from Rain Village who tried to ambush them near a river. Naruto didn't even draw his sword, just released enough spiritual pressure to make them pass out from the sheer weight of it. Too weak, he muttered, collecting their scroll. Their second encounter was more interesting. A team from Stone Village with a Jonin-level chakra signature among them. Turned out one of their members was a Jinchuriki like Naruto, hosting some kind of tailed beast that gave them enhanced strength and durability. The fight lasted almost 10 minutes before Naruto got bored and removed his eye patch. It ended 30 seconds later. You're strong, Naruto told the unconscious Jinchuriki as he collected their scroll. Stronger than most people I've fought. But you're relying too much on your beast's power and not enough on your own skill. Work on that. Karen and Haku had stopped being surprised by Naruto's strength somewhere around the third team he'd demolished. Now they just focused on supporting him and making sure he didn't accidentally kill anyone important. They reached the tower at the center of the forest in record time. Their Earth and Heaven scrolls secured and their team completely uninjured. The proctor, a purple-haired Jonin named Anko Mitarashi, looked at them with a mix of awe and suspicion. You 3 are the first team to arrive, she said, and you're not even breathing hard. The forest was too easy, Naruto said with a shrug. Nobody in there could push me. Cocky, aren't you? Confident. There's a difference. Anko studied him for a moment longer, then grinned. I like you, kid. You've got balls. Let's see if you can back up that confidence in the tournament. The tournament preliminaries were necessary because too many teams had passed the second exam. One-on-one fights to determine who would advance to the finals, randomly selected matchups displayed on a giant screen. Naruto's first opponent was a Sound Village genin who specialized in taijutsu and had apparently killed 3 people during the Forest of Death. The fight lasted 6 seconds. Naruto didn't even remove his eye patch, just walked forward, tanked a punch that should have broken ribs, and punched back hard enough to embed the Sound genin in the arena wall. Next, Naruto called to the proctor. The crowd went wild. His second match was against a Sand Village genin who used puppet techniques, elaborate wooden constructs filled with poison and blades. It was creative and dangerous, and against most genin, it would have been a guaranteed victory. Naruto sliced the puppet in half with a single sword swing, and then appeared behind the puppeteer with his blade at the guy's throat. "You're good with those things," Naruto said, "but you rely on them too much. What happens when someone gets past your defenses?" The puppeteer surrendered. By the time Naruto's third match came around, this one against a leaf genin from a prominent clan, the crowd's reaction had shifted from excitement to awe tinged with fear. This kid was a monster. The clan genin tried everything: family techniques, summoning contracts, even a forbidden jutsu that burned through his chakra at an alarming rate. Naruto blocked every attack with casual ease, never even bothering to counterattack. "Is that it?" he asked when the genin collapsed from chakra exhaustion. "That's your best?" The proctor called the match. Naruto had advanced to the finals without taking a single hit. The finals took place a month later to give participants time to train and recover. The arena was packed with spectators from across the elemental nations. Civilians, ninja, even some of the daimyos had shown up to watch the next generation of shinobi compete. Naruto stood in the competitor area, barely paying attention to the first few matches. They were all the same. 2 genin trying their hardest, using flashy techniques and dramatic speeches, ultimately proving they weren't strong enough to matter. Boring. His first final match was against Haku, his own teammate, which made things awkward but not impossible. "I know you're going to win," Haku said quietly as they faced each other in the arena, "but I want you to take me seriously, just for a moment. Let me show what I've learned." Naruto's grin softened. "You got it." Haku's ice techniques had improved dramatically over the past month. His mirrors were faster, his movements more precise, his strikes actually carried some weight behind them. For about 30 seconds, he put on a genuinely impressive display of skill and creativity. Then, Naruto got serious. He didn't remove his eye patch, that would be overkill. But he did stop holding back quite as much. His movements became sharper, faster, more predatory. Each sword swing carried enough force to shatter Haku's ice mirrors, and his spiritual pressure made the temperature drop several degrees. The fight ended with Naruto's blade at Haku's throat and Haku smiling behind his mask. "Thank you," the ice user said quietly, "for taking me seriously." "You earned it," Naruto replied. "You're getting stronger. Keep it up." The crowd applauded as Haku surrendered, and Naruto advanced to the semifinals. His next opponent was the Jinchuriki from Stone Village, a girl named Roshi, who hosted the Four Tails and had apparently spent the last month training specifically to beat Naruto. "You're strong," Roshi said as they faced each other. "Stronger than anyone I've ever fought. But I've got the power of a tailed beast inside me. You can't win." "Wanna bet?" Naruto's grin was manic. The fight was actually interesting. Roshi transformed partially into her tailed beast form, gaining red chakra skin and enhanced physical abilities. Her punches could crater the arena floor. Her speed made her a blur, and her chakra reserve seemed limitless. Naruto loved it. He matched her blow for blow, his sword clashing against her chakra-enhanced fists and creating shockwaves that made the arena shake. She was fast, but he was faster. She was strong, but he was stronger. And every exchange, every clash, every moment of combat made his grin wider. "Yes," Naruto's laugh echoed across the arena. "This is what I've been waiting for. Someone who can actually push me." He still didn't remove his eye patch. Roshi realized with growing horror that he was fighting her, fighting someone who could level buildings with a punch, while handicapped, and he was still winning. Impossible. She gasped, her tailed beast chakra flickering. "How are you this strong?" Because I love fighting more than you do. Naruto's eyes gleamed. You're using your beast's power as a crutch. I'm using my own power as a weapon. That's the difference. He ended the fight with a sword strike that dispersed her tailed beast chakra and sent her flying into the arena wall. The crowd went absolutely insane. The battle beast of Konoha had just defeated a Jinchuriki without even removing his eye patch. Naruto's final opponent was a sand village genin named Gaara. The red-headed kid was wrapped in a sand gourd and had eyes that screamed violence and instability. Naruto took one look at him and grinned. You're strong, Naruto said. I can feel it. This is gonna be fun. Mother demands blood, Gaara said, his voice flat and emotionless. Your blood will prove my existence. Great, we both want the same thing then. Naruto drew his sword. Let's see who's stronger. The fight that followed was the most brutal thing the Chunin exams had seen in decades. Gaara's sand defense was absolute, automatically protecting him from any attack without him even needing to think about it. His sand attacks were devastating, capable of crushing bones and suffocating opponents. And his chakra reserves, boosted by the one tail sealed inside him, were massive. Naruto's attacks bounced off the sand defense repeatedly. His sword strikes, his spiritual pressure, even his raw physical strength, nothing could penetrate Gaara's ultimate defense, which just made Naruto more excited. Finally! Naruto's laugh was unhinged. Someone who can actually take my hits. This is perfect. He gripped his eye patch. You've been fighting me at 20%. Naruto announced to the arena. Let's see how you handle 50. He removed the seal. The explosion of spiritual pressure was instantaneous. The arena floor cracked beneath Naruto's feet. The air itself seemed to vibrate with power. And Gaara's sand defense, which had been impenetrable moments before, suddenly struggled to keep up. Naruto's next sword swing cut through the sand like it wasn't even there. Gaara's eyes widened. What? How? Your defense is automatic, right? Naruto was grinning like a madman, which means it's only as strong as your chakra can make it. But my spiritual pressure is something else entirely, something your sand can't adapt to fast enough. He pressed his attack, each strike faster and stronger than the last. Gaara's sand formed shields and barriers and walls, but Naruto carved through them all with brutal efficiency. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the battle beast of Konoha systematically dismantled what was supposed to be an absolute defense. Then, Gaara started transforming. The One-Tail's chakra erupted from him, forming a massive tanuki-shaped beast that towered over the arena. Its roar shook the stadium, and its presence radiated malevolence that made civilians scream in terror. Naruto's grin somehow got wider. Now we're talking. He didn't draw his sword's true form, didn't release his Shikai because he hadn't learned how yet, but he did pour more spiritual pressure into his blade, making it glow with golden energy. The partially transformed Gaara swung a massive sand claw at Naruto. Naruto blocked it with his sword and drove the beast backwards with pure force. Another claw, another block. A sand tsunami tried to bury him and he cut through it like paper. Come on! Naruto's voice was wild with battle lust. Is this really all you've got? Show me more. Give me everything. Gaara lost himself to the One-Tail's influence completely, transforming into a massive sand construct shaped like a tanuki. The beast's chakra was overwhelming, its power enough to destroy the entire arena if left unchecked. The Hokage and other Jonin prepared to intervene. Naruto reached for his sword with both hands, settling into that instinctual stance again. The same stance he'd used against Zabuza's tsunami. The same stance that felt right on a level he couldn't quite explain. Golden spiritual pressure flowed along his blade, concentrating into something sharp and devastating. Let's end this, Naruto said. He swung. The resulting shockwave of spiritual pressure didn't just cut through Gaara's sand beast, it obliterated it. The construct exploded into billions of sand particles that rained down across the arena like snow. Gaara's unconscious body fell from the center of the destruction, and Naruto caught him before he hit the ground. You're strong, Naruto said to the unconscious Jinchuriki. Really strong. Let's do this again sometime. The arena was silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then the crowd erupted into cheers so loud they could be heard across the entire village. Naruto had won the Chunin exams. The celebration was cut short when Sound and Sand forces invaded Konoha. It turned out the whole exam had been a setup, a plan orchestrated by Orochimaru of the Sannin to destroy the village and kill the Hokage. Sound ninja poured into the arena. Sand ninja who were loyal to Orochimaru attacked the stands. And somewhere in the chaos, Hiruzen Sarutobi faced his former student in single combat. Naruto didn't care about the politics or the drama. He cared about the fact that strong opponents were suddenly everywhere. Finally! Naruto drew his sword as Sound Jonin flooded into the arena. I was getting bored with all the speeches. The battle that followed was chaos. Naruto carved through sound forces like they were made of paper, his blade singing through the air and leaving destruction in its wake. Karin and Haku fought beside him, their teamwork refined from months of missions. Kakashi led a group of Jonin in defending the civilian sections. And through it all, Naruto laughed. He was in his element, pure combat, no holding back, opponents who were actually trying to kill him instead of just sparring. His spiritual pressure crushed weaker enemies, his sword carved through stronger ones, and his sheer enjoyment of the chaos was almost as terrifying as his power. Battle Beast! One of the Sound Jonin recognized him. Fall back! We can't handle him! Don't run! Naruto's grin was manic. I'm just getting started. He removed his eye patch. The resulting explosion of spiritual pressure sent a shockwave through the entire battlefield. Sound Ninja collapsed under the weight of it. Even some Konoha forces staggered, struggling to breathe under the crushing presence. Naruto blazed through the invasion forces like a force of nature, and anyone stupid enough to get in his way got cut down without mercy. He found Orochimaru by accident, drawn by the massive chakra signature coming from the roof of the arena where the Sannin was fighting the Hokage. Oh, Naruto said, looking up at the barrier containing their battle. That looks fun. He jumped. The barrier was supposed to be impenetrable, Sounds 4 maintaining it with their lives. But Naruto didn't know that. He just knew there was a strong opponent on the other side, and he wanted in. His spiritual pressure slammed into the barrier with enough force to crack it. The Sound 4 gasped, blood running from their noses as they desperately tried to maintain the technique. "What the hell is that, kid?" one of them screamed. Naruto hit the barrier again, and this time it shattered. He landed on the roof between Orochimaru and Hiruzen, sword drawn and grinning like a demon. "Hey, old man," Naruto said to the Hokage. "Need some help?" Hiruzen was breathing hard, his aged body struggling to keep up with Orochimaru's speed and jutsu variety. "Naruto, get back! This opponent is too dangerous for a genin." "Dangerous? Perfect." Naruto turned to Orochimaru. "You're one of the legendary Sannin, right? That means you're supposed to be really strong. Let's find out if that's true." Orochimaru's golden eyes studied the boy in front of him. He'd heard reports about the battle beast of Konoha, but seeing him in person was different. That spiritual pressure, that overwhelming presence, was unlike anything Orochimaru had encountered before. "Interesting," the Sannin hissed. "You're not like normal Jinchuriki. There's something else inside you, something that doesn't belong in this world." "I don't care about philosophy," Naruto said. "I care about fighting. You in or out?" Orochimaru's smile was predatory. "Very well. Show me what you can do, boy." The fight was unlike anything Naruto had experienced before. Orochimaru was fast, faster than Zabuza, faster than anyone Naruto had fought. His snake-based techniques were creative and deadly, summoning massive serpents that could swallow buildings and spit acid. His jutsu knowledge was encyclopedic, switching between elements and styles with casual ease. And he was enjoying himself. "Yes!" Orochimaru's laugh was manic. "This is the power I've been searching for, the perfect vessel." "I'm not your vessel," Naruto shot back, cutting through another giant snake. "I'm your opponent. Big difference." They clashed in the center of the roof, sword against Kusanagi blade, spiritual pressure against dark chakra. The impact created a crater, and both combatants grinned with identical expressions of battle lust. Hiruzen watched in amazement as his student, one of the most dangerous ninja alive, fought a 10-year-old genin to a standstill. Then Naruto started to get serious. He gripped his sword with both hands and let his spiritual pressure flow freely. The air around him turned golden, crackling with power that made reality seem to bend. His movements became sharper, faster, more predatory, and for the first time in decades, Orochimaru felt something he'd almost forgotten fear. "What are you?" Orochimaru hissed, his snakes recoiling from Naruto's presence. I'm the battle beast of Konoha, Naruto said, and you just became interesting. He swung his sword and the shockwave carved a trench through the roof that extended all the way to the arena wall. Orochimaru barely dodged, his body liquefying and reforming 20 feet away. Impressive, the Sannin admitted. But you're still young, still inexperienced. I have decades of knowledge and power that you can't match. Then use it, Naruto challenged. Stop talking and show me everything you've got. Orochimaru's response was to summon the first and second Hokages using Edo Tensei, forbidden reanimation technique that brought the dead back as immortal puppets. Hiruzen screamed in horror, but Naruto just grinned wider. 3 opponents? Naruto's laugh echoed across the battlefield. This keeps getting better. He fought all 3 at once. The first Hokage's wood-style techniques that could terraform landscapes, the second Hokage's water-style jutsu that created oceans from nothing, and Orochimaru's own deadly arsenal of snake-based attacks. Naruto met them all head-on, his sword carving through wood constructs and water dragons with equal ease. His spiritual pressure was so intense that even the reanimated Hokages struggled to maintain their forms. This power, the first Hokage's reanimated voice said, it's like nothing I've ever felt. Not chakra, not nature energy, something else entirely. It's called spiritual pressure, Naruto said between strikes. And it's what makes me strong. He was getting stronger as the fight progressed, that constant growth that defined his existence. Each exchange taught him something new. Each near miss made him faster. Each successful block made his defense sharper. Orochimaru realized with growing alarm that if this fight continued, the boy would eventually surpass him. We're leaving, the Sannin announced, dismissing the Edo Tensei and preparing to flee. Like hell you are. Naruto charged forward, sword raised. But Orochimaru was already gone. Disappearing in a blur of body replacement and superior speed, Naruto stood on the ruined rooftop, breathing hard and grinning despite the enemy's escape. That, he said to Hiruzen, was the best fight I've ever had. The Hokage could only stare at him in stunned silence. The invasion was repelled, but the cost was heavy. Hiruzen Sarutobi died shortly after the battle, his body unable to recover from the damage sustained fighting Orochimaru. His funeral drew thousands of mourners, and the village entered a period of grief and uncertainty. Naruto attended the funeral, but didn't cry. He was strong, Naruto said when Kakashi asked why he seemed unaffected. Really strong. He fought until his last breath against an opponent who should have killed him years ago. That's how a warrior should die, in battle, pushing their limits. Most people see death as tragic, Naruto. Most people are weak. Naruto looked at his sensei. The old man lived a full life. He died fighting for what he believed in. What's tragic about that? Kakashi didn't have an answer. The village needed a new Hokage, and the search led them to one of the legendary Sannin, who hadn't just tried to destroy Konoha, Tsunade Senju. The problem was finding her. Tsunade was a known gambler and wanderer who avoided responsibility like the plague. Finding her would require tracking her across multiple countries, and the council wanted someone strong to bring her back. They chose Team Kakashi. Why us? Karen asked when they received the mission briefing. Because Naruto fought Orochimaru and survived, Kakashi explained. If Tsunade refuses to return, we need someone who can convince her through demonstration of strength if necessary. You mean they want me to beat her up until she agrees, Naruto translated. That's not exactly how I would phrase it, but yes. Naruto's grin was immediate. Road trip to fight a legendary Sannin? I'm in. They found Tsunade in a gambling town 3 days later, drunk and in debt and absolutely not interested in returning to Konoha. No, she said flatly when Kakashi explained the situation. I left that village behind years ago. Find someone else. The council specifically requested you, Kakashi said. The council can. Hey, Naruto interrupted. You're supposed to be really strong, right? One of the legendary Sannin? Tsunade's eyes narrowed. What's it to you, brat? I fought Orochimaru a few weeks ago. He was strong, but he ran away before we could finish. So I'm wondering if you're actually as strong as people say, or if you're just another washed-up drunk hiding from challenges. The temperature in the room dropped several degrees. Tsunade's assistant, a dark-haired woman named Shizune, gasped. You can't talk to Tsunade-sama like that. I just did. Naruto's grin was sharp. So what's it gonna be? You gonna prove you're strong enough to be Hokage, or are you gonna keep running? Tsunade stood up slowly, her chakra flaring. You've got some nerve, kid. You really want to fight me? I really want to fight someone strong. If that's you, great. If not, then we're wasting our time. Outside, Tsunade said coldly. Now. The fight lasted exactly 3 punches. Tsunade's first punch, enhanced with chakra that could shatter boulders, crashed toward Naruto's face. He didn't dodge, just took the hit straight on and grinned as his head rocked back. Not bad, Naruto said, blood running from his split lip. My turn. His counterpunch sent Tsunade flying through 2 buildings. The legendary Sannin climbed out of the rubble, her eyes wide. That punch had hurt, really hurt, and the kid had taken her hit without even trying to block. What are you? She asked for the 3rd time that day. I'm the guy who's going to convince you to be Hokage. Naruto cracked his knuckles. One way or another. Tsunade's second punch was faster, stronger, aimed at his ribs. Naruto blocked it with his forearm and felt the bone crack, then laughed as he punched back hard enough to send her skidding across the street. You're strong! Naruto's voice was filled with genuine excitement. Way stronger than those jonin back home. This is great. You're insane, Tsunade said, healing her injuries with medical ninjutsu. Fighting someone at my level with that kind of reckless abandon. What's the point of fighting if you're not going all out? Naruto removed his eye patch. Besides, I haven't even gotten serious yet. The spiritual pressure that erupted from Naruto made Tsunade's knees buckle. It was like standing next to a tailed beast. No, worse than that. Tailed beasts were mindless rage and chakra. This was focused, controlled, as predatory power that promised violence on a level she'd never experienced. Kid, Tsunade said slowly. What the hell are you? Someone who's tired of pulling punches. Naruto's grin was manic. You're the first person in months who can actually take my hits. So let's see how far you can push me. They fought for real after that. Tsunade's monstrous strength that could reshape landscapes met Naruto's overwhelming spiritual pressure that could crush reality. Her medical ninjutsu that made her nearly immortal faced his constant growth that made him stronger with every exchange. Her decades of experience clashed with his combat instincts that operated on a level beyond normal shinobi. Buildings collapsed. Streets cracked. The entire town evacuated as 2 monsters traded blows that would have killed normal ninja 100 times over. And through it all, Naruto laughed. Yes, this is what I've been waiting for. Someone who can actually fight back. Tsunade was breathing hard, her chakra reserves depleting at an alarming rate. The kid was a monster. Every time she hurt him, he just got back up grinning. Every time she tried a new technique, he adapted to it within seconds. And that spiritual pressure was still growing, still intensifying, like it had no limit. She couldn't win this. The realization was humbling. Enough, Tsunade said, raising a hand. I surrender. Naruto stopped mid-swing, his expression confused. What? Why? We were just getting started. Because if we keep going, I'm going to run out of chakra and you're going to destroy this entire town. Tsunade collapsed onto a pile of rubble, breathing hard. You win, kid. You're stronger than me. Really? Naruto looked genuinely disappointed. But I didn't even use my sword yet. You have a sword? Shizune looked horrified. Yeah, but it's more fun to use my fists sometimes. Naruto replaced his eye patch, like sealing his spiritual pressure back down to manageable levels. So does this mean you'll be Hokage? Tsunade looked at the destruction around them. At the grinning kid who just beaten one of the legendary Sannin in hand-to-hand combat. And at the future of Konoha represented by monsters like this. Yeah, she said eventually. I'll be Hokage. Someone needs to keep you from destroying the village by accident. Sweet. Naruto offered her a hand up. You're pretty strong. Tsunade, we should spar again sometime. Absolutely not, Tsunade said immediately. One fight with you is enough for a lifetime. But she was smiling when she said it. Tsunade became the 5th Hokage, and Konoha entered a new era of strength and stability. The battle beast of Konoha was promoted to Chunin despite being only 11 years old, and his reputation grew to legendary proportions. Stories spread about the kid who'd beaten a Sannin, about the Genin who defeated an A-rank missing 9, about the boy whose spiritual pressure could crush Jonin without him even trying. Naruto didn't care about the reputation. He cared about getting stronger. He trained obsessively, pushing his body and his power to new limits. He sparred with every jonin who was willing, and several who weren't, constantly seeking that edge, that challenge, that opponent who could make him really try. He still hadn't learned his sword's name. The blade remained nameless, a constant presence on his back, but stubbornly silent whenever he tried to commune with it. Yugao had explained that Zanpakuto, or whatever Naruto's sword actually was, required a deep spiritual connection to manifest their true power. You need to understand yourself, Yugao told him during a training session. Your sword is a reflection of your soul. Until you truly know who you are, it won't reveal its name. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, Naruto said. I know who I am. I'm the battle beast of Konoha. I fight. I get stronger. I find worthy opponents. What else is there? Maybe that's the problem. You've defined yourself entirely by combat. What about everything else? What else matters? Yugao didn't have an answer for that. The true test came 6 months later when news arrived that Sasuke Uchiha, one of the last survivors of his clan, had defected from the village to join Orochimaru. Tsunade immediately formed a retrieval team, and Naruto volunteered before she even finished explaining the mission. Why do you care about Sasuke? Tsunade asked. You barely know him. I don't care about Sasuke, Naruto admitted. I care that he went to Orochimaru, which means if I chase him, I might get to finish my fight with the snake bastard. That's a terrible reason for a mission. It's an honest reason. Tsunade sighed but approved the mission anyway. The retrieval team consisted of Naruto, Karin, Haku, and a chunin named Shikamaru Nara, who was supposed to provide tactical leadership. They caught up to Sasuke and his escorts, the Sound Four, at the Valley of the End, a massive waterfall marking the border between Fire Country and Sound Territory. Turn around, Sasuke, Shikamaru called out. Come back to the village peacefully and we can work this out. I'm not going back, Sasuke said coldly. The Uchiha's eyes were hard, his Sharingan spinning. I need power to kill my brother. Orochimaru can give me that power. Konoha can't. So you're gonna abandon your home for strength? Naruto stepped forward, genuinely curious. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You wouldn't understand, Sasuke spat. You've never had anything taken from you, never lost everyone you cared about. You're right, I don't understand. Naruto drew his sword. But I understand that you're running away from your problems instead of getting strong enough to face them head on, and that makes you weak. Weak? Sasuke's Sharingan flared. I'll show you weak. The Sound Four moved to intercept, but Naruto's spiritual pressure crashed into them like a physical force. 3 of them collapsed immediately. The fourth, a 6-armed freak named Kidomaru, tried to fight back and got his head removed for his trouble. I'm not here for you, Naruto said to the remaining Sound Four. I'm here for him. He pointed at Sasuke. Anyone who gets in my way dies. Clear? The Sound Ninja fled, which left just Naruto and Sasuke facing each other in the Valley of the End. You really want to do this? Sasuke asked, his hands already forming seals. I've gotten stronger since the Chunin exams. I'm not the same person you knew. Good, Naruto said. I'd be disappointed if you hadn't grown at all. They charged. Sasuke's Sharingan allowed him to predict Naruto's movements, and his lightning-enhanced speed made him genuinely dangerous. His Chidori technique, taught by Kakashi, carried enough power to pierce through rock, and his fire jutsu were actually creative and well executed. Against anyone else, Sasuke would have been overwhelming. Against Naruto, he was just another opponent. Naruto matched Sasuke's speed with raw power, his blade deflecting the Chidori and cutting through fire techniques. The Sharingan's prediction ability didn't matter when Naruto's spiritual pressure made the air itself feel heavy and slow. Is this really all you've learned? Naruto asked, disappointed. You left the village for this? Shut up! Sasuke poured more chakra into his techniques, his Sharingan evolving into its 3rd Tomoe form. I'm going to kill you and prove that I'm strong enough. Strong enough for what? To fight your brother? To take revenge? Naruto shook his head. You're not even strong enough to fight me at 20%. How are you going to beat someone like Itachi? The truth in those words made Sasuke's rage explode. He activated his cursed seal, a gift from Orochimaru that covered his body in black markings and gave him a massive power boost, and Naruto still dominated him. "You're using borrowed power," Naruto said as his sword cut through Sasuke's enhanced defenses. "Just like that Jinchuriki I fought in the exams, you're relying on something external instead of developing your own strength. That's why you'll never beat me." Sasuke screamed in frustration and fired his strongest Chidori directly at Naruto's chest. Naruto didn't dodge. He didn't block. He just took the hit straight on, the lightning chakra burning through his jacket and scorching his skin, and grinned through the pain. "That actually hurt a little," Naruto said. "Good. Now let me show you what real power looks like." He removed his eye patch. The spiritual pressure that erupted made Sasuke's Sharingan malfunction. The Uchiha fell to his knees, gasping for air, his cursed seal retreating as his body desperately tried to conserve chakra just to survive the overwhelming presence. "This is 30% of my power," Naruto said, walking towards Sasuke with slow, deliberate steps. "Not even a third of what I'm actually capable of, and you can barely stand under it. So tell me, Sasuke, how exactly are you going to kill Itachi when you can't even survive me at 30%? Sasuke couldn't answer, could barely breathe. "You want to get stronger?" Naruto grabbed Sasuke by the collar and lifted him up. "Then stop running away. Stop looking for shortcuts and borrowed power. Train, fight, grow, become someone worthy of fighting me at full strength." He threw Sasuke at Shikamaru's feet. "Take him back to the village," Naruto ordered. "Let Tsunade deal with him." "What about you?" Shikamaru asked. "I'm going after Orochimaru." Naruto's grin was manic. "We've got unfinished business." "Naruto, that's suicide. You can't take on a Sannin alone." "Watch me." Before anyone could stop him, Naruto vanished in a burst of speed that left cracks in the ground where he'd been standing. Naruto found Orochimaru's hideout 3 days later, after tracking the snake Sannin's chakra signature across half the land of sound. The base was hidden underground, protected by dozens of guards and elaborate trap seals. Naruto walked straight through the front entrance. The guards tried to stop him. They died. The traps activated. They failed. Sound Ninja rushed to defend their master. They didn't matter. Naruto carved through the entire hideout like a force of nature, his spiritual pressure crushing weaker opponents and his sword cutting through stronger ones. By the time he reached Orochimaru's chamber, the base was a ruin, and over 100 Sound Ninja were dead or unconscious. "You came," Orochimaru said, looking up from his research. "I wondered if you would." "We have unfinished business," Naruto said simply. "Last time we fought, you ran away. I don't like it when my opponents run away." "I didn't run. I made a tactical retreat." Orochimaru set aside his notes. "But if you've come for a rematch, I'm happy to oblige. I've been wanting to study your power more closely anyway." "Study this." Naruto didn't bother with his eye patch, just charged forward at full speed and crashed into Orochimaru with enough force to crater the floor. The fight was even more brutal than their first encounter. Orochimaru had prepared specifically for facing Naruto's spiritual pressure, developing techniques and seals designed to counter the overwhelming presence. His snake summons were larger and more dangerous. His jutsu selection was more varied and creative. And Naruto didn't care. He fought with pure aggressive dominance, his blade carving through everything Orochimaru threw at him. Every snake summon, every jutsu, every desperate sneak, Naruto destroyed it all with casual efficiency. "You're stronger than before," Orochimaru observed, bleeding from a dozen cuts. "You've been training." "I train every day." Naruto's grin was wild. "Every fight makes me stronger. Every opponent teaches me something new, and you're teaching me that even legendary Sannin can be beaten." Orochimaru's response was to shed his skin, literally, revealing a younger body underneath. Body modification and forbidden techniques that made him nearly immortal. Naruto cut him down anyway. Again and again, Orochimaru tried to flee or hide, or use some desperate technique to turn the tide. And again, Naruto hunted him down and destroyed whatever defense he'd prepared. "Why won't you just die?" Orochimaru screamed, his composure finally breaking. "Because dying is boring," Naruto said. "And you're finally making this interesting." He gripped his sword with both hands, that familiar stance settling into place. Golden spiritual pressure flowed along the blade, concentrating into something devastating. And then Naruto heard it, a voice from his sword. Deep and ancient and absolutely alive. "Finally," the voice said, "you're ready to know my name." Naruto's eyes widened. You can talk? I've always been able to talk. You were just too focused on fighting to listen. The voice sounded amused. But now you're strong enough, ready enough. So listen well, Naruto Uzumaki, and I will tell you my name. The sword in Naruto's hands began to change, its form shifting and growing. My name is Nozarashi, and it's time you learned what I can really do. The transformation was instantaneous. Naruto's simple katana expanded into a massive cleaver-like blade, easily twice his height and covered in brutal-looking notches. The spiritual pressure radiating from it made Orochimaru's eyes go wide with terror. Drink, Nozarashi. Naruto's voice was filled with manic joy as he swung the transformed blade. The resulting shockwave didn't just destroy Orochimaru's hideout, it carved a canyon through the surrounding landscape that extended for miles. The earth split, mountains crumbled, and Orochimaru's body was obliterated so thoroughly that even his regeneration techniques couldn't save him. When the dust settled, Naruto stood in the center of a wasteland, holding his massive cleaver and grinning like he just discovered the meaning of life. This, he said to Nozarashi, is awesome. You have no idea, the sword replied. This is just my Shikai, my initial release. When you're ready, I'll show you my true power. There's more, much more. But first, you need to master this form. Learn to control my power instead of just unleashing it randomly. Fine. Naruto shouldered the massive blade, which shifted back to its sealed katana form. Let's go home and train. He walked out of the ruins of Orochimaru's hideout, leaving the Sanin's obliterated corpse behind him. The battle beast of Konoha had just killed one of the legendary Sanin and awakened his sword's true form, and he was only getting started. Naruto returned to Konoha 3 weeks later, walking through the gates like he hadn't just disappeared on an unauthorized mission to hunt down and kill a legendary ninja. Tsunade was waiting for him in her office, arms crossed and looking ready to kill him herself. Do you have any idea, she said slowly, how much trouble you've caused? Is this about Orochimaru? Because he's dead, so problem solved. Dead? Tsunade's voice could probably be heard across the village. You killed one of the legendary Sanin? By yourself? At age 11? Yeah. Naruto looked confused. Was I not supposed to? Tsunade pinched the bridge of her nose, trying to fight off the migraine that was building. Naruto, Orochimaru was an S-rank criminal, one of the most dangerous ninja alive, the kind of threat that requires multiple Jonin teams to even attempt capturing. He wasn't that tough. I figured out his tricks after a while. How exactly did you kill him? Cut him in half with my sword. Naruto grinned. Want to see? I figured out how to release its true form. It's called Nozarashi and it's huge and... No, I do not want to see. Tsunade took a deep breath. Do you understand that you've just made yourself a target for every organization that wants power? That killing Orochimaru makes you more dangerous in the eyes of other villages? Good, Naruto said simply. Maybe they'll send stronger opponents. There was no arguing with that logic. However insane it was, Tsunade eventually gave up trying to lecture him and instead focused on damage control. She sent Anbu to verify Orochimaru's death. They found the canyon and confirmed no trace of the Sanin remained, and officially recorded Naruto as having completed an S-rank mission at age 11, the youngest person in Konoha's history to accomplish such a feat. You're probably going to make Jonin before you're 13 at this rate, Tsunade muttered. Jonin sounds boring, Naruto said. Too much paperwork. Then stop doing things that require paperwork. But she was smiling when she said it, and Naruto knew he wasn't really in trouble. The next year passed in a blur of training and missions and constant growth. Naruto mastered his Shikai form, learning to control Nozarashi's immense power instead of just unleashing it randomly. He sparred with every Jonin in the village, some multiple times, and his reputation grew from battle beast to living catastrophe. He still wore his eye patch. Even with Nozarashi's power, even with his constant growth, Naruto kept the seal in place because it made fights more interesting. It gave his opponents a chance to show what they could do before he crushed them. It was more fun that way. During this time, he also discovered something interesting. His spiritual pressure could crush techniques that relied on chakra control. Genjutsu dissolved under his presence. Delicate jutsu fell apart. Even defensive techniques struggled to maintain their structure when hit with the full weight of his power. It made him even more dangerous, and other villages started avoiding Konoha missions that might involve him. Then came his 12th birthday, and with it, whispers of something dark on the horizon. An organization called Akatsuki had started moving openly, hunting Jinchuriki across the elemental nations. Two of their members, a shark-looking man and someone with a Sharingan, had already attacked Gaara in Sand Village. Tsunade called Naruto to her office the day the news arrived. "They're coming for you eventually," she said without preamble. "Akatsuki targets Jinchuriki, and you're the Nine Tails container." "Cool," Naruto said. "Are they strong?" "Very. S-rank criminals at minimum. Some of them are former jonin from major villages, and they travel in pairs specifically to counter powerful opponents." "Even better." Naruto's grin was immediate. "When do they show up?" "This isn't a game, Naruto. These people are dangerous. They've killed multiple jonin and at least one Jinchuriki already." "Then they should make for a good fight." Tsunade wanted to argue, but she knew it was pointless. Naruto lived for combat. Telling him to be careful was like telling fire not to burn. "Fine," she said eventually, "but you're not fighting them alone. I'm assigning Anbu protection." No, I don't need protection. I need worthy opponents." Naruto stood up. "If these Akatsuki guys are as strong as you say, they're exactly what I've been looking for. Let them come. I'll show them what happens when you mess with the battle beast of Konoha." He walked out before Tsunade could respond. The ambush she signed to watch him reported back 3 hours later that Naruto had destroyed half of Training Ground 44 while testing a new technique with Nozarashi. Suna debited his bill and started drinking. The Akatsuki members arrived 2 months later. Kisame Hoshigaki and Itachi Uchiha, both S-rank missing nin with terrifying reputations, walked straight through Konoha's gates like they owned the place. Naruto met them in the middle of the market district, drawn by the massive chakra signature radiating from the shark man's blade. "You," Naruto said, pointing at Kisame. "That sword you're carrying, it's alive, isn't it?" Kasame's eyes widened slightly. "You can sense Samehada? Interesting. Most people can't feel its presence. I can feel all swords." Naruto drew Nozarashi, the blade responding to his spiritual pressure. "Especially the strong ones. So what brings 2 S-rank criminals to my village?" "We're here for you." "Actually," Itachi said calmly, "the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, Akatsuki has need of your power." "My power?" Naruto's grin widened. "You want my power? You're gonna have to take it, and I don't give up my power to anyone." "We expected resistance," Kisame said, hefting Samehada. "That's why there's 2 of us." "Perfect. I haven't fought 2 S-rank opponents at once before." Naruto's spiritual pressure erupted, making civilians scream and flee. "Let's see if you're as strong as your reputations." The fight that erupted in the middle of Konoha was legendary. Kasame's Samehada could absorb chakra and constantly grew stronger by feeding on enemy techniques. His water jutsu could create oceans, and his physical strength was immense. Paired with Itachi's Sharingan that could cast Genjutsu with a glance and summon black flames that burned everything, they were a nearly unstoppable duo. Against Naruto, they struggled. His spiritual pressure was too overwhelming for normal Genjutsu to work. His raw power made him immune to Samehada's chakra absorption. Because he wasn't using chakra, he was using something else entirely. And his combat instincts were sharp enough to avoid Itachi's black flames while simultaneously pressuring Kasame with devastating sword strikes. "This kid is a monster," Kasame gasped, his arms numb from blocking Naruto's attacks. "I've never felt pressure like this." "His power is different from normal Jinchuriki," Itachi observed, his Sharingan spinning. "It's not the Nine Tails chakra he's using. It's something else. Something that doesn't belong in this world." "Does it matter?" Naruto's laugh was wild. "You came for my power. Come take it." He removed his eye patch. The resulting explosion of spiritual pressure actually made Itachi stagger, something that hadn't happened in years. Kasame's Samehada recoiled, unable to process the sheer weight of energy crushing down on it. "This is 50%, Naruto announced. "Let's see how you handle it." What followed wasn't a fight. It was a massacre. Naruto's speed increased to the point where even Itachi's Sharingan struggled to track him. His sword strikes carried enough force to shatter buildings. His spiritual pressure made the very air feel heavy and suffocating. Kisame tried to merge with Samehada, transforming into a shark-like monster. Naruto cut through the transformation like it was paper. Itachi used his Mangekyo Sharingan, summoning Susanoo, a massive spectral warrior that could destroy armies. Naruto punched through it with his bare fist and grabbed Itachi by the throat. "You're strong," Naruto said, his grin manic. "Really strong, but you're not strong enough." "Wait," Itachi gasped. "You don't understand. Akatsuki's true goal? I don't care about your goals. I care about fighting." Naruto's grip tightened. "And you two just gave me the best fight I've had in months. So thank you for that." He released Itachi and stepped back, letting both Akatsuki members collapse to the ground. "I'm letting you go," Naruto said. "Not because I'm merciful, but because I want you to get stronger, train, grow, become opponents worthy of making me use my full power. Then come back and fight me for real." Kisame stared at him in disbelief. "You're letting us go?" "Yeah, you're too weak to die yet." Naruto replaced his eye patch. "Come back when you can actually push me. Maybe then I'll use my Bankai." "Bankai?" Itachi's eyes widened. "You'll find out if you're strong enough." Naruto turned and walked away. "Now get out of my village before I change my mind." The Akatsuki members fled, and Naruto stood in the ruins of the market district, grinning like a madman. Around him, Konoha ninjas stared in stunned silence. He just defeated 2 S-rank criminals. At age 12, while holding back, the battle beast of Konoha was beyond anything they'd imagined. The final year before Shippuden passed quickly, Naruto continued training, continued fighting, continued growing stronger with every passing day. His reputation spread across all 5 great nations. Villages warned their ninja to avoid him. Criminal organizations added him to their do not engage lists. Even other Jinchuriki heard stories about the kid who could fight S-rank threats and win. He mastered his Shikai form completely, learning to control Nozarashi's power with precision instead of just overwhelming force. He developed new techniques, new applications of his spiritual pressure, new ways to crush his opponents, and he started hearing his sword speak about Bankai. "You're almost ready," Nozarashi said during a training session. "Your power has grown tremendously. Your understanding of combat is sharp. But Bankai requires more than just strength. It requires absolute synchronization between wielder and blade." "So how do I achieve that?" Naruto asked. "By understanding what you're fighting for, by knowing yourself completely, by accepting both your strength and your nature without hesitation." "That still sounds like philosophical bullshit." "Then you're not ready yet." Naruto spent the next months contemplating that. What was he fighting for? He didn't have grand goals like protecting the village or becoming Hokage. He didn't seek revenge or justice or any of those abstract concepts. He just wanted to fight, to test himself against strong opponents, to grow stronger with each battle, to find someone who could push him to his absolute limit and beyond. Was that enough? "Yes," Nozarashi said when he finally voiced the question. "That purity of purpose, that absolute focus on combat and growth, is exactly what makes you worthy of Bankai. You're not fighting for ideals or people or anything except the thrill of battle itself. That honesty is your greatest strength." "So I can learn Bankai?" "When you're ready to fully embrace what you are, when you can stand before the world and declare, 'I am the battle beast,' without hesitation or shame, then and only then will I grant you access to my true power." Naruto thought about that for a long time. He'd always been honest about his nature, brutally so. He didn't pretend to be a hero or a protector. He fought because he loved fighting. He sought strong opponents because they made him stronger. He killed enemies without remorse because death was part of combat. But fully embracing that, declaring it openly, that felt different somehow. He was 13 years old when he finally understood. It happened during a mission where Team Kakashi was supposed to protect a caravan from bandits. Simple C-rank work that should have been boring. But one of the bandits was a former jonin from Iowa, a man who deserted during the Third Great Ninja War and spent the last decade perfecting his explosion-based techniques. The fight was incredible. The former jonin could create explosions from nothing, reshape the battlefield with seismic detonations, and his experience made him genuinely dangerous. For the first time in months, Naruto found himself actually trying. He removed his eye patch, drew Nozarashi in Shikai form, poured 50% of his spiritual pressure into the fight, and realized something. He was smiling, not the manic battle grin he usually wore. Not the excitement of finding a worthy opponent, but genuine, pure joy. This was what he lived for. This moment, this clash of power and will and skill. This was his purpose, his reason for existing. He was the battle beast of Konoha, and he wouldn't apologize for it. Drink, Nozarashi! Naruto's voice carried across the battlefield. Show this guy what real power looks like. The massive cleaver blazed with golden spiritual pressure, and when Naruto swung it, the resulting shockwave obliterated the former Jonin's explosions and carved a canyon through the landscape. The fight ended seconds later, and as Naruto stood over his defeated opponent, sword raised and grinning like a demon, he heard Nozarashi speak. Finally, you understand. You accept what you are without hesitation. You embrace your nature fully. Yeah, Naruto said aloud. I do. Then it's time. Are you ready to see my true form? To witness Bankai? Hell yes. Then speak the words, call my name, and release the monster you've always been. Naruto gripped Nozarashi with both hands and felt his spiritual pressure surge to levels he'd never reached before. The air around him turned red. His skin began to shift, taking on a crimson hue with black markings spreading across his body, and he spoke the words that would change everything. Bankai. The transformation was instantaneous and overwhelming. Naruto's body shifted into something barely human. Red skin covered in black markings, hair growing wild and long, his spiritual pressure so intense that the ground beneath him cracked and the sky above turned dark. This was Nozarashi's true power. This was Bankai. Naruto looked at his transformed hands and laughed, a sound that was more beast than human. This is what I've been waiting for, he said, his voice deeper and rougher. This is what I am. Yes, Nozarashi confirmed. This is your true form, the battle beast unleashed. Use it wisely. Naruto tested his new power, swinging Nozarashi in wide arcs that carved trenches through the earth. Every movement carried immense force. Every step left craters. His spiritual pressure in this form could probably crush entire armies. He was unstoppable. He was a monster. He was free. The Bankai faded after a few minutes. It consumed too much spiritual energy to maintain for long, but the knowledge remained. Naruto had achieved the pinnacle of his sword's power. The ultimate expression of his battle-focused nature, he returned to Konoha with his team, and Kakashi took one look at him and sighed. You achieved Bankai, didn't you? How'd you know? You have that look, like you just discovered the meaning of life. I kind of did. Naruto grinned. I figured out what I am, what I've always been, and I'm done apologizing for it. Kakashi looked at his student, this 13-year-old monster who could fight S-rank criminals and win, who'd killed a legendary Sannin, who'd achieved a power level that most Jonin would never reach, and nodded. Good, the Jonin said simply. The world needs people who know themselves, even if what they are happens to be terrifying. The invasion came without warning, not from a village or an organization, but from something else entirely. A rift in reality itself, spitting out creatures made of pure chakra and malevolence. Demons from a different dimension that existed only to destroy. They attacked Konoha in waves, hundreds of them, each one Jonin level at minimum. The village's defenders fought desperately, but they were being overwhelmed. Tsunade activated the village's emergency protocols. Anbu mobilized. Clan heads rallied their forces. And in the chaos, someone called for the battle beast. Naruto stood on the Hokage monument, looking down at the invasion below, and grinned. Finally, he said, something interesting. He removed his eye patch and jumped. The spiritual pressure that erupted from him as he fell made the demons shriek in terror. Weaker ones simply dissolved under the weight of his presence. Stronger ones tried to flee. Naruto didn't let them. He landed in the middle of the invasion force and drew Nozarashi, the blade blazing with golden power. Drink, Nozarashi! The Shikai form emerged, the massive cleaver carving through demons like they were made of paper. Each swing destroyed dozens. Each pulse of spiritual pressure cleared entire streets, but there were too many, even for Naruto. Guess I'll have to use it, he said, looking at the tide of demons still pouring through the rifts. Might as well go all out. He gripped Nozarashi with both hands and spoke the words. Bankai. The transformation was instantaneous. Red skin, black markings, demonic appearance. The spiritual pressure that erupted made buildings collapse and the very air catch fire. Nozarashi's true form, not the cleaver, but something else. something that existed beyond normal comprehension, manifested as pure concentrated power flowing through Naruto's body. He became a force of nature, the battle beast in its truest form, and he tore through the demon invasion like a hurricane through wheat. Every punch destroyed dozens of enemies. Every kick carved craters in the earth. His spiritual pressure alone crushed hundreds of demons before they could even attack. He moved through the invasion force with brutal efficiency, leaving nothing but destruction in his wake. No mercy, no hesitation. Just pure, overwhelming violence that proved once and for all why he was called the Battle Beast. The fight lasted 3 hours. When it finally ended, when the last demon fell and the rifts sealed themselves, Naruto stood in the center of a devastated battlefield covered in blood and grinning like a maniac. Around him, Konoha ninja stared in awe and terror. He'd saved the village, single-handedly destroyed an invasion that should have required the entire military force to repel, but he'd also revealed just how terrifying he could be. Tsunade approached him slowly, medical ninja trailing behind her. "Naruto," she said carefully. "Are you? You?" "Yeah." Naruto's Bankai faded, his body returning to normal. "Why wouldn't I be?" "Because you just went into a berserker state and destroyed half the village along with the invaders. Only the parts that needed destroying." Naruto looked around at the devastation. "The demons are gone, right? Mission accomplished." There was no arguing with that logic. Tsunade ordered the village rebuilt and officially recognized Naruto as Konoha's greatest asset. Not Jonin, he still refused the promotion, but something else. Something beyond normal rank, the battle beast of Konoha, the living catastrophe who'd saved them all. He was 13 years old, a chunin in rank but jonin in power, the youngest person ever to master Bankai, the kid who'd killed a Sanin and defeated S-rank criminals, and he was bored again. "Nozarashi," he said to his sword, "where do I find stronger opponents?" "They'll come to you," the blade replied. "Your reputation has spread across the world. Every organization that craves power knows your name. Every warrior who seeks challenge has heard of the battle beast. They'll come, and when they do, you'll be ready." "Good," Naruto's grin returned. "I'll keep getting stronger, keep pushing my limits, and one day I'll find someone who can make me use everything I've got." "And what will you do then?" "I'll beat them, and then I'll find someone even stronger." Naruto laughed. "That's what it means to be the battle beast. Never stopping, never settling, always seeking that next level." Behind him, Kakashi appeared with his team. "Hokage-sama has another mission for us," the Jonin said. "A rank, possible S rank if the intelligence is accurate." "Perfect." Naruto jumped down from the monument. "Let's go find some strong opponents." Karin and Haku exchanged glances. They learned to just accept their teammates' battle lust and followed. Team Kakashi disappeared into the village, and somewhere in the distance, enemies were preparing to face the battle beast. They would fail. They always did. Because Naruto Uzumaki wasn't just strong, he was constantly getting stronger. Every fight was a lesson. Every opponent was a stepping stone. Every challenge was an opportunity to grow. He was the battle beast of Konoha, and his story was just beginning. The explosion that rocked the border between Fire Country and Rain Country could be felt 3 miles away. Naruto Uzumaki, now 15 years old and back from a 2-year training journey that had taken him across the elemental nations, stood in the center of a crater holding Nozarashi in one hand, while 7 Rain Village Jonin lay unconscious around him. "That's it!" Naruto's voice carried disappointment as he looked at the defeated ninja. "You guys ambushed me with poison, traps, and numerical advantage, and you couldn't even make me use 2 hands?" His spiritual pressure, still restrained by the eye patch he wore, had been enough to crush their assault before it even began. The Rain Jonin had heard stories about the battle beast of Konoha and thought 7 of them working together could at least wound him. They were wrong. "Naruto!" A familiar voice called from the tree line. Kakashi appeared with Sakura and Sai, the new Team Kakashi that had formed during Naruto's absence. "We've been looking for you everywhere. You were supposed to meet us at the rendezvous point 3 hours ago." "Was I?" Naruto scratched his head with his free hand. "I thought we were meeting at that town with the good ramen." "That was yesterday." "Oh." Naruto looked around at the devastation. "Well, I got lost and these guys tried to kill me, so I dealt with them." Sakura stared at the unconscious Jonin in the massive crater. Dealt with them? Naruto, you destroyed half the forest. They destroyed the other half trying to trap me. I just returned the favor. Naruto grinned. Besides, they were boring. Didn't even make me remove my eye patch. Kakashi sighed. 2 years apart and Naruto hadn't changed at all. Still the same battle-obsessed monster who lived for combat and couldn't follow simple directions. If anything, he'd gotten worse. The eye patch Naruto wore now was different from before. Darker, heavier. Because during his training journey, he'd gotten so much stronger that his old seal couldn't contain him anymore. This new eye patch restricted him to roughly 5% of his actual power. 5%. And he just demolished 7 Jonin without breaking a sweat. We need to get back to the village, Kakashi said. Tsunade-sama has an urgent mission. Something about Akatsuki making their move. Akatsuki? Naruto's grin widened. Those guys who tried to kidnap me 3 years ago? The ones I let go so they could get stronger? Those would be the ones. Except now they've captured several other Jinchuriki, and they're moving on the last few, including Gaara. Gaara? Naruto's expression shifted slightly. The Sand Jinchuriki had been one of the few people who'd actually given him a decent fight during the Chunin exams. They got him? Extracted the one tail. He's apparently dead. For a moment, just a moment, something dangerous flickered in Naruto's eyes. Not sadness or grief, but anger. The kind of anger that came from someone taking away a worthy opponent before he could fight them again. Where are they? Naruto's voice was calm. Too calm. Intelligence says they're scattered across multiple hideouts. But Tsunade wants us to. Naruto was already walking. Not toward Konoha. Toward Rain Country's border. Naruto, Kakashi called. Where are you going? To find Akatsuki. They took someone I wanted to fight again. That pisses me off. Naruto's spiritual pressure spiked just enough to make the unconscious Jonin groan. So I'm gonna find them and remind them why you don't steal my prey. We need to coordinate with the village. We can't just... You coordinate, I'm hunting. Naruto didn't look back. Tell Tsunade I'll bring her Akatsuki's heads as proof I completed the mission. He vanished in a burst of speed that left cracks in the ground. Kakashi looked at his remaining students. He's going to start a war. Should we stop him? Sakura asked. Could we stop him? Sai countered. They all knew the answer was no. The battle beast of Konoha was on the hunt, and nothing short of death would slow him down. Naruto's 2-year training journey had been exactly what he'd hoped for. Constant combat against increasingly powerful opponents. He'd traveled to every major nation and several minor ones, seeking out the strongest fighters he could find. Missing nin, jonin, even a few Kage-level threats. Anyone with a reputation for power became his target. Most fights lasted less than a minute. The few that went longer taught him something valuable about his own abilities. His spiritual pressure had grown exponentially. His mastery over Nozarashi's Shikai form was now instinctive. He could activate and deactivate it as easily as breathing. And his Bankai, while still consuming massive amounts of energy, no longer left him completely drained afterward. He was stronger than ever, and he was bored. Every opponent he found was the same. Strong enough to be interesting for a few seconds, too weak to actually push him. Even removing his eye patch barely mattered anymore. Most people couldn't survive the spiritual pressure alone, let alone his actual attacks. He'd hoped Akatsuki would provide better challenges. Now they'd gone and captured his potential opponents before he could fight them properly. That was unforgivable. Naruto tracked Akatsuki's chakra signatures across Rain Country using a skill he developed during his journey, the ability to sense spiritual energy across vast distances. Normal ninja needed to be close to detect chakra. Naruto could feel powerful presences from miles away, and Akatsuki members were definitely powerful. He found the first pair 3 hours later, Deidara and Sasori, the artists of the organization. They were traveling through a mountain pass, apparently heading toward their next target. Naruto dropped from the cliff above them, landing hard enough to crater the road. "Hey," he said casually, "you guys are with Akatsuki, right?" Deidara's visible eye widened. "The battle beast! What's he doing here?" "I heard you assholes captured Gaara. That pisses me off." Naruto drew Nozarashi. "He was supposed to be my opponent. So now you're gonna tell me where the rest of your organization is, or I'm gonna beat it out of you." Bold words for someone who's outnumbered, Sasori said from within his puppet body. We've heard stories about you, boy, but stories don't win fights. You're right. Power wins fights. Naruto's grin was sharp. Let's see if you've got enough. Deidara attacked first, sending clay birds loaded with explosives directly at Naruto's position. The resulting detonations would have vaporized a normal ninja. Naruto walked through the smoke completely unharmed. Explosions, huh? That's kinda cool. He looked at Deidara. Got anything stronger? The blonde Akatsuki member stared in disbelief. My art is perfect. There's no way. Sasori interrupted by launching a barrage of poison senbon from his puppet body. Hundreds of needles, each one coated with toxins that could kill in seconds. Naruto's spiritual pressure flared, and the needles disintegrated before they reached him. Poison won't work, Naruto said. My spiritual pressure is too dense. Anything weaker than A-rank jutsu just falls apart around me. Impossible, Sasori hissed. What kind of monster are you? The kind that's about to ruin your day. Naruto removed his eye patch. The explosion of spiritual pressure that followed made both Akatsuki members stagger. Deidara's clay birds fell from the sky, unable to maintain their form under the crushing weight. Sasori's puppet body actually cracked, the wood unable to withstand the pressure. This was Naruto at 5% of his full power. It was still overwhelming. Let's make this quick, Naruto said. I've got other Akatsuki members to hunt down. What followed wasn't a fight. It was a demonstration. Deidara threw everything he had, C3 explosions that could level cities, creative bombing patterns, even attempting to blow himself up in a suicide attack. Naruto cut through it all with casual sword swings, each one creating shockwaves that dispersed the explosions before they could reach him. Sasori revealed his true body, a puppet made from the third Kazekage with iron sand techniques that could pierce any defense. Naruto grabbed the iron sand with his bare hand and crushed it into dust. You guys are strong, Naruto admitted as both Akatsuki members collapsed, exhausted and defeated. Way stronger than those Rain Jonin. Late, but you're still not strong enough to make me use two hands. He'd beaten two S-rank criminals while handicapped to 5% of his power, using one hand without activating his Shikai. The gap between Naruto and everyone else had become an ocean. Where's the rest of Akatsuki? Naruto pointed Nozarashi at Deidara's throat. Talk. The blonde artist tried to detonate one last explosive in defiance. Naruto's spiritual pressure crushed it before it could activate. Fine, I'll just track them myself. Naruto knocked both Akatsuki members unconscious with the flat of his blade. You two can rot here. He left them in the crater and continued his hunt. Over the next week, Naruto systematically hunted down every Akatsuki member he could find. Hidan and Kakuzu fell when Naruto interrupted their mission in the Land of Fire. The immortal cultist tried to curse Naruto through his ritual, but spiritual pressure didn't count as normal damage. Hidan's god apparently couldn't handle that. Kakuzu's multiple hearts and elemental techniques lasted slightly longer, but Naruto just cut through all 5 hearts in rapid succession. Kisame found him next, apparently seeking a rematch after their last encounter. The Shark Man had grown stronger, his fusion with Samehada more refined. He lasted almost 10 minutes before Naruto's spiritual pressure overwhelmed both him and his sentient sword. You've gotten stronger, Naruto told the defeated Kisame. I actually had to use my left hand to block one of your attacks. Good job. Kisame laughed despite the pain. You're still a monster, Battle Beast, even more than before. Thanks, Naruto grinned. Keep training. Maybe next time you'll make me use Shikai. He left Kisame alive, barely, and moved on. The only Akatsuki member who proved genuinely challenging was Itachi Uchiha. Naruto found him near the Akatsuki hideout where they'd stored Gaara's body. The Uchiha was waiting, his Mangekyo Sharingan already active. You've come for revenge, Itachi said calmly. For the Sand Jinchuriki. Nah, revenge is boring, Naruto drew Nozarashi. I came because you guys pissed me off by taking my opponents, and because last time we fought I let you go so you could get stronger. Time to see if you did. I have grown stronger, my eyes have evolved further, my techniques are more refined. Prove it. Itachi's response was to cast Tsukuyomi, a genjutsu so powerful it could torture victims for days in the space of seconds. Naruto's spiritual pressure shattered it instantly. Genjutsu won't work on me, Naruto said. My spiritual pressure is too overwhelming. It breaks through any mental manipulation. You should remember that from last time. Itachi tried Amaterasu next. Black flames that could burn anything, even other fire. The flames hit Naruto directly and began consuming his jacket. Naruto ripped the burning clothing off and grinned. That's better! Something that can actually hurt me! He charged through the Amaterasu, his spiritual pressure protecting his skin, while the flames scorched the air around him. Itachi summoned his Susanoo, a massive spectral warrior covered in ethereal armor, and met Naruto's charge with a devastating sword strike. Naruto blocked it with Nozarashi using one hand. The impact created a shockwave that leveled the surrounding forest. You have gotten stronger! Naruto's voice was filled with genuine excitement. Your Susanoo's actually putting some weight behind its attacks. And you're still holding back, Itachi observed. Your eye patch is still in place. Yeah, because if I take it off, this fight ends in 3 seconds. Naruto pushed against the Susanoo's blade. But you're actually making me try a little. That deserves respect. They fought for another 5 minutes, Itachi using every technique in his arsenal, Naruto countering with raw power and combat instinct. The Uchiha's Mangekyo abilities were impressive, his tactics were sound, and his execution was flawless. But he was fighting someone who existed on a different level entirely. This is fun, Naruto said as he deflected another Susanoo strike. But I'm getting bored. Time to end this. He gripped Nozarashi with both hands. Itachi's eyes widened. Wait! The two-handed sword swing that followed carved through the Susanoo like it was made of paper. The spectral warrior shattered, and the shockwave sent Itachi flying backward into the mountainside. Naruto appeared in front of the embedded Uchiha before he could recover, Nozarashi at his throat. You're strong, Itachi. Really strong. Naruto's grin was genuine. But you're still not strong enough to make me use Shikai. Work on that. Why? Don't you just kill me? Itachi coughed blood. Because killing you now would be a waste. You've got potential, so keep getting stronger, and when you're ready, come find me again. I'll be waiting. Naruto left Itachi alive and walked into the Akatsuki hideout. Inside, he found the massive statue they'd been using to extract tailed beasts, and at its base, Gaara's lifeless body. For a moment, Naruto just stared. The Jinchuriki who'd given him one of his best fights during the Chunin exams. The person who'd understood what it meant to live for battle. Dead because some organization wanted power. This pisses me off, Naruto said quietly. He'd come to Akatsuki's hideout expecting a war. Multiple S-rank criminals working together. Powerful techniques, maybe even something that would force him to use Shikai. Instead, he'd found them scattered and weak. Their members defeated or fled. Their organization in shambles, and his potential opponent dead. Naruto's spiritual pressure erupted, and the entire hideout collapsed. When the dust settled, he stood in the ruins holding Gaara's body and grinning through clenched teeth. Nozarashi, he said to his sword, where do I find someone strong enough to make this worth it? Patience, the blade responded. Greater threats are coming. Your legend has spread too far. Enemies who crave power will seek you out. And when they do, they'll bring everything they have. They better. Naruto looked at Gaara's corpse, because I'm getting real tired of winning without trying. He brought Gaara's body back to Sand Village personally. The Sand Ninja were in mourning when he arrived, their Kazekage dead and their village vulnerable. Temari and Kankuro, Gaara's siblings, stood at the entrance, grief written across their faces. Battle Beast, Temari said when she saw him carrying their brother. You found him. Found the assholes who killed him too. Naruto set Gaara's body down gently. Beat most of them, left a couple alive so they could get stronger. He's dead because of you. Kankuro's voice was raw with anger. If you'd been there, if you'd protected him. I don't protect people, Naruto said flatly. I fight. That's what I do. That's all I do. Your brother understood that. He lived for combat just like me, and he died fighting something stronger than him. That's not a bad death. Not a bad, you insensitive bastard. Kankuro swung at Naruto. His puppet techniques activated, weapons emerging from every joint. Naruto caught the puppet's fist without looking. His spiritual pressure flared, just a fraction, just enough, and every weapon disintegrated. Don't, Naruto said quietly. You're upset. I get it, but you're not strong enough to hit me, even when I'm not trying. So calm down before you do something stupid. The Sand siblings stared at him, at the monster who'd carried their brother's body across hundreds of miles, at the living catastrophe who spoke about death like it was just another challenge. Why did you come? Temari asked. If you don't care about protection, why bring him back? Naruto was quiet for a moment, because he was strong, and I wanted to fight him again. But someone took that from me, so the least I could do was bring him home. He turned to leave. Wait, Temari called. There's a way to save him. An old woman in our village knows a forbidden technique that can revive the dead, but it costs the user's life. Naruto stopped. Revival jutsu? It's called Chiyo-sama. She might... Where is she? 30 minutes later, Naruto stood in front of an ancient-looking woman who radiated enough chakra to make her interesting. You want me to revive the Kazekage, Chiyo said. It wasn't a question. Yeah, he was a good opponent. I want to fight him again when he's stronger. That's your reason? Not friendship or duty or... I don't care about that stuff. I care about fighting strong people. Gaara was strong, so bring him back. Chiyo studied the boy in front of her, the legendary battle beast who defeated half of Akatsuki single-handedly, the monster who spoke about death and combat with complete honesty. This technique will kill me, she said. Then don't use it. Find another way. There is no other way. Naruto frowned. That's stupid. Why would you design a revival jutsu that kills the user? What's the point? It's meant to be used as a final sacrifice, a way for the old to save the young. Still stupid. Naruto crossed his arms. But if you're gonna do it anyway, at least make it count. Bring him back strong. Strong enough to challenge me eventually. Chiyo actually smiled. You're an honest monster, aren't you? I'm the only kind of monster I know how to be. The old woman performed the technique, pouring her life force into Gaara's body. The Sanjin Shiriki's eyes opened, gasping for air as his heart started beating again, and Chiyo collapsed, her chakra exhausted. Naruto watched without emotion as the old woman died. Not because he didn't care, he just understood that she'd made her choice. That's how warriors died. Fighting, sacrificing, pushing their limits until there was nothing left. It was respectable. Naruto? Gaara's voice was weak as he sat up. What happened? You died. Old lady brought you back. Now you owe me a rematch when you're strong enough. Gaara stared at him, then looked at Chiyo's body, then back at Naruto. You came all the way here just to make sure I could fight you again? Yeah, you were getting interesting during the Chunin exams. Be a shame if you died before we could finish what we started. Despite everything, despite dying and being revived, despite the grief and confusion, Gaara smiled. Because only Naruto Uzumaki would cross nations and hunt down a criminal organization just to ensure his favorite opponent survived. The battle beast was insane, but he was honest about it. News of Naruto's one-man war against Akatsuki spread quickly through the shinobi world. He defeated or killed over half their organization, destroyed multiple hideouts, recovered a captured Jinchuriki's body, and facilitated his revival. And he'd done it all in less than 2 weeks. The 5 great nations held an emergency summit to discuss the implications. The battle beast of Konoha has effectively crippled one of the most dangerous criminal organizations in history, the Mizukage said during the meeting. This level of power in the hands of a single village is concerning. Konoha doesn't control him, Tsunade said bluntly. Naruto does whatever he wants. We just try to point him in useful directions. That's even more concerning, the Tsuchikage grumbled. An uncontrolled force of that magnitude is better than having Akatsuki running around stealing tailed beasts, the Raikage interrupted. The kid did us a favor, even if his methods were extreme. Extreme? The Kazekage, newly returned Gaara, spoke quietly. He hunted down S-rank criminals like they were genin. He defeated Itachi Uchiha in single combat, and he did it all while wearing a seal that restricts him to 5% of his actual power. The room fell silent. 5%? The Mizukage's voice was tight. You're saying what we've seen is only 5%, Gaara confirmed. I've fought him twice now, once at the Chunin exams when he used maybe 30%, and I've seen reports of his Shikai form, which represents roughly 50%. His full power, his Bankai, is something even I can't fully comprehend. This is unacceptable, the Tsuchikage said. One person shouldn't have that much power. Then try to stop him, Tsunade said coldly. Send your best jonin, your anbu. Hell, fight him yourself. See how far you get. No one took the challenge, because they all knew the truth. Naruto Uzumaki had become something beyond normal shinobi classification. He wasn't S rank or Kage level. He was his own category entirely, the battle beast, a force of nature that existed to fight and couldn't be controlled by conventional means. The summit ended with an unofficial agreement. Let Naruto do whatever he wanted and hope he stayed on their side. Naruto returned to Konoha 3 weeks after leaving to find the village in celebration mode. What's going on? He asked Kakashi. You defeated Akatsuki, saved a Kage, prevented a war. The council is throwing a celebration in your honor. That sounds boring. It's mandatory, Naruto sighed. Do I have to make a speech? Yes. Can I talk about how disappointing Akatsuki was? How they were supposed to be this legendary threat, but most of them couldn't even make me use Shikai? Absolutely not. The celebration was exactly as boring as Naruto expected. Speeches about heroism and duty and protecting the village. Awards and recognition from people he didn't care about. Civilians treating him like some kind of savior when he'd really just been hunting for strong opponents. The only interesting part was when Sakura pulled him aside. Naruto, she said quietly. Sasuke contacted the village. He wants to come back. Naruto's expression didn't change. So I thought you'd want to know, since you were the one who brought him back last time. I brought him back because he was running away from his problems. Has he gotten stronger? I don't know. Then I don't care. Naruto turned to leave. If he's still weak, he's not worth my time. If he's gotten stronger, he can come find me himself. That's it? That's all you have to say about your teammate? Sasuke was never my teammate. He was just another opponent who wasn't ready yet. Naruto's grin was sharp. But if he has gotten stronger, tell him I'm waiting. I want to see if Orochimaru's training was worth the betrayal. Sakura watched him walk away and realized something. Naruto hadn't changed at all since they were genin. He was still the same battle-obsessed monster who measured people by their strength and nothing else. The difference was now he had the power to back up that worldview, and nobody could argue with him. Sasuke returned to Konoha 2 months later, escorted by Anbu and carrying a recommendation from Orochimaru's former bases that he'd destroyed. Apparently, the Uchiha had killed his former master and absorbed his power somehow, had awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan through tragedy, had grown exponentially stronger during his time away. The council debated what to do with him. Some wanted execution for treason. Others wanted to imprison him. A few wanted to welcome him back as a prodigal son. Tsunade asked Naruto for his opinion. Let him prove he's worth keeping around, Naruto said. Put him through a test. If he's actually strong now, he can be useful. If he's still weak, who cares? What kind of test? Have him fight me. Tsunade stared at him. You want to fight Sasuke as his test to return to the village? Yeah, it's simple. If he's strong enough to survive me at 10% for 5 minutes, he gets to stay. If not, he's still too weak to matter. That's completely fair, Naruto interrupted. I fought him before when he tried to defect. He was pathetic then. If he's not pathetic now, he'll survive. If he is, then why do we want him back? The logic was insane, but somehow sound. Tsunade approved the test. 3 days later, Naruto and Sasuke faced each other in the same training ground where they'd fought as genin. You've gotten taller, Naruto observed. Stronger too, if that chakra I'm feeling is real. I'm nothing like I was before. Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan spun. I've killed Orochimaru, mastered the Uchiha clan's forbidden techniques, awakened power you can't imagine. Cool, show me. Sasuke unleashed everything immediately. Amaterasu black flames that covered the entire training ground. Susanoo in its complete form, a massive armored warrior wielding ethereal weapons, lightning techniques enhanced by his cursed seal's power. Every forbidden jutsu he'd learned compressed into a devastating opening assault. Naruto stood in the center of the inferno, his eye patch still in place, and yawned. Is that it? His spiritual pressure flared, and every flame within 20 feet simply ceased to exist. Because last time we fought, you at least made me use my left hand to block. This is just sad. Impossible. Sasuke Susanoo swung its massive sword. I've grown beyond anything you can. Naruto caught the blade with one hand. His spiritual pressure, still restricted to 5%, created a shockwave that shattered the Susanu's weapon and sent Sasuke flying backward. "You've gotten stronger," Naruto admitted as he walked through the dispersing flames. "Way stronger than before. That Susanoo actually weighs something now, but you're still nowhere near my level. I killed Orochimaru. I've mastered techniques that..." Orochimaru was weak. "I killed him 3 years ago with one sword swing." Naruto's grin was sharp. "You're proud of beating someone I considered a warm-up. That's your problem, Sasuke. You measure yourself against weak opponents and think you're strong." Sasuke's Mangekyo bled as he pushed his chakra to the limit. "I'll show you weak." What followed was completely one-sided. Every technique Sasuke unleashed, Naruto either dodged casually or destroyed with spiritual pressure alone. The Uchiha's speed meant nothing when Naruto could react on instinct. His power meant nothing when Naruto's presence could crush jutsu before they formed. His legendary Sharingan meant nothing when the gap in their abilities was too vast to bridge. 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the fight, Sasuke collapsed from chakra exhaustion. He'd survived. Barely. Naruto looked down at him and nodded. "You passed. 5 minutes was the requirement. You made it with 30 seconds to spare." "You were holding back," Sasuke gasped. "Obviously. If I wasn't, you'd be dead." Naruto offered him a hand. "But you survived my 10% for 5 minutes. That's better than most jonin could do. So welcome back to Konoha, I guess." Sasuke stared at the offered hand, then at Naruto's face, then back at the hand. Everything he'd worked for, every sacrifice he'd made, every technique he'd mastered. All of it wasn't enough to even scratch someone who was barely trying. The gap between them hadn't closed. It had grown into an ocean. "What do I have to do?" Sasuke asked quietly. "To reach your level?" "Get stronger. Keep fighting. Push your limits until they break." Naruto's grin softened slightly. "You're on the right path, Sasuke. You're just not there yet. But at least now you're not running away anymore." Sasuke took the hand and let Naruto pull him up. The Uchiha was welcomed back into Konoha with conditions: probationary status, Anbu monitoring, mandatory missions. But he was back, and he had a new goal: become strong enough to actually challenge the battle beast. It would take years. If he survived that long, 6 months passed in relative peace. Naruto took missions, trained obsessively, and continued searching for opponents who could push him. He found a few: rogue ninja with unique techniques, missing nin with Kage-level power, even a few legitimate challenges, but nothing that required Shikai, nothing that made him excited. "I'm bored, Nozarashi," Naruto said during a training session. "Everyone's either too weak or too scared to fight me seriously." "Patience," his sword responded. "Your next real challenge is coming. I can feel it." "You keep saying that, and I'm never wrong." The challenge arrived in the form of a message from an unknown organization. It wasn't delivered through normal channels. No messenger bird or scroll. One day Naruto just found a letter waiting on his bed, written in blood, sealed with power that felt wrong. "Battle Beast of Konoha," the letter read. "We are the Kara organization. We have been watching your development with great interest, your power, your nature, your potential. We would like to offer you a position within our ranks, a chance to fight opponents worthy of your strength, enemies from beyond this world who can actually challenge you. If you're interested, come to the coordinates below. Come alone. Come ready to prove yourself. We'll be waiting." Naruto read the letter 3 times, his grin growing wider with each pass. "Nozarashi," he said, "I think we found what we were looking for. This could be a trap. Obviously it's a trap. That's what makes it interesting." Naruto didn't tell anyone about the letter, didn't report it to Tsunade or discuss it with his team. He just grabbed his sword, sealed his eye patch in place, and headed to the coordinates. The location was an abandoned temple in the Land of Silence, a small nation between fire and lightning countries known for its desolate landscapes and mysterious disappearances. Naruto arrived to find 5 people waiting for him. Each one radiated power that actually registered on his senses. Not overwhelming power, but genuine strength that promised an actual challenge. "Battle Beast," the leader spoke. A tall man with strange markings and eyes that looked artificial. "Thank you for accepting our invitation." "Who are you?" Naruto's hand rested on Nozarashi's hilt. "We are Kara, an organization dedicated to acquiring power that transcends this world's limitations." The leader gestured to his companions. Delta, a combat specialist with body modifications that make her nearly indestructible. Boro, a cultist who commands viral techniques that can reshape matter. Code, a fighter whose ability rivals anything you've encountered. And Koji Kashin, a shinobi who has mastered techniques even you would find challenging. And you? Naruto asked. I am Jigen, the vessel for something far greater than any shinobi. His smile was predatory. We've brought you here to test your strength, to see if the legends are true, and if they are, to offer you something precious. What's that? A fight that will actually require your full power. Naruto's grin matched Jigen's. You have my attention. Excellent. Then let's begin with a simple test. Jigen nodded to Delta. Show our guests what you can do. Delta moved with speed that actually impressed Naruto. Her body was covered in scientific modifications, artificial enhancements that went beyond normal ninja techniques. Her punches carried tremendous force, her movements were precise, and her durability was actually notable. She lasted 3 minutes before Naruto got bored and ended the fight with a single two-handed sword swing that shattered her modifications and sent her flying into the temple wall. She's strong, Naruto said. Way stronger than normal jonin, but not strong enough to make me remove my eye patch. As expected, Jigen said. Delta was merely the warm-up. Code, you're next. Code attacked with techniques that bent space itself, abilities that let him create portals, manipulate dimensions, and strike from impossible angles. His combat skill was legitimate, his power was significant, and his tactics were actually clever. He lasted 5 minutes before Naruto adapted to his spatial manipulation and crushed him with pure spiritual pressure. Better, Naruto admitted. That dimension stuff was tricky. But you relied too much on it. Once I figured out the pattern, you were done. Impressive, Jigen said. Most people can't adapt to Code's abilities at all. But you did it within minutes. Boro, show him something different. Boro unleashed viral techniques that could infect and control living matter. His dark mist spread across the battlefield, corrupting everything it touched. Against normal ninja, it would be unstoppable. Against Naruto's spiritual pressure, it simply dissolved. Viruses need living cells to infect, Naruto said as he walked through the mist. My spiritual pressure is too dense. Your technique can't penetrate it. Boro fell in 2 minutes. Koji Kashin proved more interesting. He used techniques that actually looked familiar. Fire jutsu reminiscent of Jiraiya's style. Toad summons. Even the Rasengan. But he was still weaker than Naruto at 5%. He lasted 4 minutes before admitting defeat. You've defeated all of my subordinates, Jigen said. Without removing your seal. Without using your blade's true form. Barely even trying. The legends don't do you justice, Battle Beast. Are we done with the warm-up? Naruto asked. Because if this is all you've got, I'm disappointed. Oh, we're just getting started. Jigen's body began to change, black markings spreading across his skin. What you've seen so far is merely Kara's standard forces. But I am something else entirely. I am the vessel for an Otsutsuki, a being from beyond this world who has transcended normal limitations. The power that erupted from Jigen was actually overwhelming. It crashed into Naruto like a physical force, making him take a step back for the first time in months. Now that's more like it. Naruto's grin was manic. Finally, someone who might actually be worth fighting. Remove your seal, Jigen commanded, or I'll kill you before you have the chance. Naruto reached for his eye patch. You know what? Yeah, let's do this properly. He removed the seal. The explosion of spiritual pressure that followed made all of Kara's defeated members scream. The temple itself began to crack. The very air turned heavy and oppressive. This was Naruto at roughly 20% of his full power, no longer restricted to 5%, but still holding back significantly, and for the first time in months, he was actually excited. Come on! Naruto's voice was wild. Show me what an Otsutsuki can do. What followed was the most intense fight Naruto had experienced since Orochimaru. Jigen's Otsutsuki powers let him shrink objects to microscopic size and expand them instantly, creating attacks that were nearly impossible to defend against. His speed was tremendous, his strength was legitimate, and his techniques operated on a level that transcended normal ninja abilities. They traded blows that cratered the landscape. Jigen's spatial manipulation versus Naruto's overwhelming spiritual pressure. shrinking rods that could pierce anything versus a sword that could cut through dimensions. For 10 minutes, they fought at a level that would have destroyed armies. Then Naruto started winning, not because Jigen got weaker, the Otsutsuki's power was consistent, but because Naruto was constantly adapting, constantly growing, constantly learning his opponent's patterns. "You're strong!" Naruto's laugh echoed across the battlefield. "Way stronger than anyone I've fought in months. But you're starting to slow down." "Impossible," Jigen gasped, blood running from his mouth. "No shinobi should be able to match an Otsutsuki." "I'm not a shinobi, I'm the battle beast." Naruto gripped Nozarashi with both hands. "And you just became interesting enough to see my next level." "Wait. Drink, Nozarashi." The Shikai transformation erupted, Naruto's sword expanding into its massive cleaver form. The spiritual pressure that accompanied it made Jigen actually stagger, something that hadn't happened since his transformation. This was Naruto at roughly 50%, and the fight became completely one-sided. Each swing of Nozarashi in Shikai form carried enough force to reshape the landscape. Jigen's spatial manipulation couldn't keep up. His shrinking techniques couldn't save him. His Otsutsuki powers, while tremendous, weren't enough to bridge the gap. Naruto carved through his defenses like they were paper. "This is what I've been waiting for." Naruto's voice was pure joy. "An opponent who actually makes me use Shikai. Someone who can take my hits and keep fighting." Jigen tried one last desperate technique, fully manifesting his Otsutsuki power and attempting to absorb Naruto's spiritual pressure. It didn't work. Spiritual pressure wasn't chakra. It was something else entirely. Something that existed outside the Otsutsuki's understanding. And Naruto's final strike, a two-handed Shikai swing that channeled his entire spiritual pressure, obliterated Jigen's manifestation and left the vessel's body broken and defeated. The fight was over. Naruto stood in the center of a devastated battlefield, breathing hard and grinning like a madman. "That was perfect," he said to the defeated Jigen. "You actually made me use Shikai. Made me try. That's the best fight I've had in over a year." "You monster," Jigen coughed blood. "The Otsutsuki clan will come for you. They won't forgive this." "Good. Tell them to bring their strongest." Naruto's grin widened. "I'll be waiting." Jigen's body dissolved. Apparently the vessel couldn't maintain form after such damage. The other Kara members had already fled, unwilling to face someone who could crush their leader. Naruto was left alone in the ruins, his Shikai still active, his spiritual pressure still radiating, and he was happier than he'd been in months. "Nozarashi," he said to his sword. "That Otsutsuki guy said more of them are coming." "They will. Your power has caught their attention. They'll send stronger vessels, stronger threats, everything you've been waiting for." "Perfect." Naruto sealed his blade back to normal form. "Let them come. I'll show them what happens when they mess with the battle beast of Konoha." He walked away from the ruined temple, already thinking about the next fight, already excited for what was coming. News of Naruto's battle with Kara spread slowly, mostly because Kara was a secretive organization that few people knew existed. But certain individuals noticed. Sasuke, who'd been investigating strange disappearances, found evidence of the destroyed temple and the massive spiritual pressure residue. He reported it to Tsunade, who immediately suspected Naruto's involvement. "Did you fight someone from Kara?" she asked when Naruto returned to the village. "Yeah, some guy named Jigen who could manipulate space and claimed to be hosting an Otsutsuki. Naruto was eating ramen while he talked. He was strong. Made me use Shikai." "You use Shikai?" Tsunade's voice rose. "Against an unknown enemy? Without backup?" "He challenged me. What was I supposed to do? Say no?" "Yes, you were supposed to say no. Report it to the village. Bring reinforcements." "But then it wouldn't have been a real fight." Naruto slurped his noodles. "Besides, I won. Problem solved." Tsunade wanted to argue but knew it was pointless. Naruto had defeated what sounded like a Kage-level threat, possibly higher, and his only concern was whether it had been a good fight. "These Otsutsuki," she said carefully. "Did Jigen say anything else about them?" "Just that more are coming. Something about transcending this world's limitations and acquiring power." Naruto finished his bowl. "Sounded like they're pretty strong. I'm excited." "Of course you are." Tsunade massaged her temples. Naruto, listen carefully. If these Otsutsuki are as dangerous as they sound, we need to prepare the village, coordinate with other nations, develop countermeasures. Or, Naruto said, you could just let me handle it. They want to fight someone strong, right? I'm the strongest, so they'll come for me eventually. When they do, I'll beat them. It's not that simple. It is that simple. Strong enemies want to fight me. I want to fight strong enemies. Everyone gets what they want. Tsunade looked at the 15-year-old monster in front of her and realized something. There was no point trying to make him think strategically. Naruto existed purely for combat. His entire worldview was built around fighting stronger opponents, and honestly, given his track record, it worked. Fine, she said eventually, but at least tell me when you're going to fight interdimensional threats, so I can clear the area and minimize collateral damage. Deal, Naruto grinned. Want me to bring you back proof when I beat them? Just try not to destroy the village. No promises. The next Otsutsuki arrived 3 months later. His name was Momoshiki, and he appeared in the middle of Konoha with another Otsutsuki named Kinshiki, demanding the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Naruto was eating ramen when the commotion started. Battle Beast, Momoshiki's voice carried across the village. We have come for your power. Surrender peacefully, or we will take it by force. Naruto set down his bowl and grinned. Nozarashi, he said. Remember what I said about stronger enemies coming to me? I remember. This is going to be fun. He walked out of the ramen shop to find 2 beings floating above the village, radiating power that actually registered as significant on his senses. You're the Otsutsuki guys, Naruto called up. The ones Jigen mentioned. Jigen was weak, Momoshiki said dismissively. A failed vessel who couldn't properly wield our power. We are true Otsutsuki, gods who have transcended your primitive world. Cool story. Naruto drew Nozarashi. You want my power? Come take it. Kinshiki attacked first, descending from the sky with a massive chakra weapon that could split mountains. Naruto blocked it with one hand, his eye patch still in place. You're strong, he said as the impact created a shockwave, but not that strong. He pushed back, sending Kinshiki flying into a building. Momoshiki's eyes widened. Impossible. Kinshiki's strength rivals anything in this dimension. Your dimension must be weak then. Naruto's grin was sharp. Because I'm barely trying. What followed was a beatdown that Konoha's residents would talk about for years. Momoshiki could absorb any jutsu and amplify it for counterattack, a technique that made him nearly invincible against normal ninja. His power was tremendous, his speed was impressive, and his Otsutsuki abilities operated on a level beyond standard shinobi. Against Naruto's spiritual pressure, none of it mattered. Jutsu absorption didn't work because spiritual pressure wasn't chakra. Amplification techniques failed because there was nothing to amplify, and his vaunted Otsutsuki power couldn't overcome the fundamental gap in their strength. Naruto dismantled both Otsutsuki without removing his eye patch. Kinshiki fell first, his chakra weapon shattered, and his body embedded in the Hokage monument. Momoshiki lasted slightly longer, using increasingly desperate techniques before Naruto got bored and ended the fight with a single two-handed sword swing that carved through the Otsutsuki's defenses. That's it? Naruto looked disappointed. You guys claimed to be gods, but you couldn't even make me use Shikai. What a letdown. Momoshiki, bleeding and defeated, stared in disbelief. What? Are you? I'm the battle beast of Konoha, and you just failed the test. Naruto raised Nozarashi. Any last words? The Otsutsuki clan will not forgive this. Our king will come, and when he does... Yeah, tell your king to bring his strongest. I'll be waiting. Naruto executed both Otsutsuki with efficient strikes, their bodies dissolving into chakra that dispersed into the atmosphere. The village was silent. Civilians and ninja alike stared at the teenager who just killed 2 beings that claimed to be gods, who defended Konoha from an interdimensional threat without breaking a sweat. Well, Naruto said, sheathing his sword. That was disappointing. Back to my ramen. He walked away, leaving the stunned crowd behind. The Otsutsuki threat should have been a village-wide emergency. Multiple Kage working together, strategic planning, desperate last stands. For Naruto, it was Tuesday. The execution of Momoshiki and Kinshiki had consequences. Within weeks, reports started coming in about dimensional rifts appearing across the elemental nations. Not invasions, just openings. portals that led to somewhere else, something watching from beyond. The 5 Kage held another emergency summit. The Otsutsuki King is aware of our world now, Gaara reported, and he's not happy that 2 of his clan were killed. Good, Naruto said from where he sat in Konoha's delegation. Tell him to come fight me himself instead of sending weaklings. Naruto, Tsunade said sharply, this is serious. The Otsutsuki King, Ishiki, is supposedly more powerful than Momoshiki and Kinshiki combined. If he comes here, then I'll fight him, and I'll win, like I always do. The other Kage exchanged glances. They'd all heard stories about the battle beast. Most had seen evidence of his power, but his absolute confidence in the face of a threat that terrified everyone else was still jarring. You don't understand, the Tsuchikage said. Ishiki isn't just strong, he's immortal. He's fought for thousands of years. He's weak if he needs to send others to fight for him. Naruto stood up. Look, you guys can sit here and plan and strategize all you want, but when Ishiki comes, and he will come, I'm fighting him, alone, because that's what I do. You can't face him alone. The Mizukage's voice was sharp. Even you have limits. Haven't found them yet. Naruto headed for the door. When the Otsutsuki King shows up, someone let me know. I'll handle the rest. He left before anyone could argue. Outside the summit building, Sasuke was waiting. You're going to fight Ishiki, the Uchiha said. Not a question. Obviously. He's stronger than anything you faced. The intelligence we have suggests his power operates on a completely different scale. Good. I'm bored of weak opponents. Naruto grinned. Why you want to help? I want to make sure you don't get yourself killed. I won't die. Death is boring. Naruto looked at Sasuke seriously for a moment. But if you're really worried, get stronger, train harder, push your limits. Because when I beat Ishiki, I'm gonna need new opponents. Might as well be you. Sasuke actually smiled. Deal. They parted ways, both understanding the truth. Naruto would fight Ishiki alone. He would win or die trying. And there was nothing anyone could do to stop him, because that's what the battle beast did. Ishiki Otsutsuki arrived 6 weeks later. He didn't announce himself with theatrics or demands, just appeared in the middle of Konoha's training grounds, his presence alone making reality feel wrong. Naruto was there within seconds, drawn by the overwhelming power signature. You're Ishiki, he said, studying the Otsutsuki King, the one Momoshiki mentioned. You killed my subordinates. Ishiki's voice was cold. Destroyed vessels I spent centuries preparing, interfered with our harvest. For that, you will suffer. Suffer? Nah. Naruto drew Nozarashi. But I might actually have fun. You feel way stronger than those other 2. Foolish child. I have existed for millennia. Conquered dimensions, destroyed civilizations. You are nothing but... Naruto removed his eye patch. The explosion of spiritual pressure that followed made Ishiki actually pause. It crashed into his Otsutsuki power like a tidal wave, forcing him to activate defensive techniques just to withstand the presence. Still talking? Naruto's grin was manic. I thought you were supposed to be strong. Ishiki's response was immediate and devastating. He moved with speed that surpassed anything Naruto had faced. His techniques operating on a level that bent reality itself. Shrinking abilities that could reduce anything to microscopic size. Spatial manipulation that let him strike from impossible angles. Time dilation that made his movements seem instantaneous. And for the first time in months, Naruto was actually being pushed. They clashed in the center of the training ground, their impact creating shockwaves that leveled buildings. Ishiki's chakra rods versus Naruto's spiritual pressure. Otsutsuki power versus the battle beast's overwhelming strength. Yes! Naruto's laugh was wild as he blocked a strike that would have pierced his heart. This is what I've been waiting for. Someone who can actually make me try. You're strong for a primitive, Ishiki admitted, his expression cold. But you're still just a child playing with power you don't understand. Understanding is boring. Fighting is fun. They traded blows that reshaped the landscape. Naruto's spiritual pressure carved trenches in the earth. Ishiki's techniques created dimensional rifts. The battle escalated to a scale that made Jonin flee in terror and civilians evacuate entire districts. And Naruto was loving every second, but Ishiki was stronger than Jigen had been. His mastery over Otsutsuki power was complete. His techniques were refined through millennia of combat. And his experience was vast. After 10 minutes, Naruto realized something. He was going to need Shikai. Finally, he gripped Nozarashi with both hands. Someone strong enough to make me use my real power. This is perfect. Your arrogance will be your death, Ishiki said. Maybe, but at least I'll die fighting. Naruto's grin was manic. Drink, Nozarashi. The Shikai transformation erupted, the massive cleaver blazing with golden spiritual pressure. The very air turned heavy. The ground beneath Naruto's feet cracked and splintered. This was roughly 50% of his full power. And the fight became genuinely intense. Ishiki's techniques that had dominated before were now being matched. His speed was countered by Naruto's instinctive reactions. His spatial manipulation couldn't keep up with the overwhelming force of each Shikai strike. They carved through Konoha's landscape like forces of nature, their battle leaving destruction that would take months to repair. Buildings collapsed. Training grounds were obliterated. Even the Hokage monument took damage. But Naruto was still growing. Every exchange taught him something new about Ishiki's patterns. Every near miss made him faster. Every blocked attack refined his defense. The battle beast's constant evolution was terrifying. Impossible. Ishiki gasped after a particularly devastating combination forced him backwards. You're adapting to my techniques mid-combat. That shouldn't be possible. I'm a combat genius, Naruto said simply. I learn by fighting. The longer this goes, the stronger I get. So how long can you last? Ishiki's answer was to fully manifest his Otsutsuki form, a transformation that made him exponentially more powerful. His body changed, his chakra exploded, and his techniques reached a level that transcended anything he'd shown before. And Naruto matched him. Shikai versus fully manifested Otsutsuki. Spiritual pressure versus dimensional power. Two monsters fighting at a level that could destroy nations. They fought for 30 minutes, an eternity in combat between beings of their strength. And slowly, gradually, Naruto started winning. Not through overwhelming power. Ishiki's strength was tremendous, but through constant adaptation, through instinctive growth, through the fundamental nature of what made him the battle beast. Every second of combat made him stronger. This ends now. Ishiki created a massive dimensional rift, channeling all his power into one final technique. I will erase you from existence itself. Naruto's response was to pour everything he had into Nozarashi. His spiritual pressure concentrated into the blade, making it glow with power that seemed to distort reality, and he swung. The resulting clash between dimensional erasure and concentrated spiritual pressure created an explosion that could be seen from neighboring countries. When the dust settled, Ishiki was on his knees, his Otsutsuki form cracking and failing. Naruto stood over him, breathing hard but grinning, his Shikai still active. You're strong, Naruto said. Really strong. Strongest thing I've fought in years. But you made a mistake. What mistake? Ishiki gasped. You gave me time to adapt. You let the fight drag on because you were confident. And every second you wasted was a second I got stronger. Naruto raised Nozarashi. Next time, don't hold back. Come at me with everything from the start. There won't be a next time, Ishiki said. The Otsutsuki clan, yeah, I know. They'll come for revenge. They'll send stronger enemies. Whatever. Naruto's grin widened. Tell them I'm waiting. The final strike severed Ishiki's head from his body. The Otsutsuki king dissolved into chakra. His millennia of existence ended by a 15-year-old who'd simply refused to lose. Naruto sealed Nozarashi back to normal form and looked around at the devastation. Half of Konoha was in ruins. The training grounds were destroyed. Buildings had collapsed. The battle had caused damage that would cost millions to repair, and Naruto had never felt more alive. That, he said to nobody in particular, was perfect. The aftermath of Naruto's battle with Ishiki changed everything. He defeated the Otsutsuki king, a being who'd existed for millennia and conquered dimensions. He'd done it using only his Shikai form, never needing to activate Bankai. And he'd emerged victorious from a fight that should have required every Kage working together. The 5 great nations held an emergency session to discuss what this meant. Naruto Uzumaki has effectively become the strongest being in our world, the Mizukage said carefully. Possibly the strongest being who's ever existed. That level of power concentrated in one person is terrifying, the Tsuchikage finished. What's to stop him from deciding he wants to rule? Or destroy? Or nothing, Tsunade interrupted. There's nothing that can stop him. But he doesn't want to rule or destroy. He just wants to fight. That's almost worse, the Raikage said. A person with that much power who lives purely for combat. Is exactly what saved us from the Otsutsuki, Gaara pointed out. Without Naruto, Ishiki would have destroyed our world and everyone in it. Instead, he's dead, because the battle beast is on our side. For now, the Tsuchikage muttered. Forever, Tsunade said firmly. I've known Naruto since he was a child. He's battle-obsessed and brutal and completely honest about what he is, but he's loyal to Konoha. Loyal to people he respects. He won't turn on us. How can you be certain? Because if he wanted to destroy Konoha, he would have done it already. Instead, he protects it in his own way, by being such an overwhelming threat that nobody dares attack. The other Kage couldn't argue with that logic. The meeting ended with an agreement. Let Naruto do whatever he wanted. Support him when possible, and pray he stayed on their side. Because they all knew the truth. If the battle beast ever decided to become an enemy, the entire shinobi world would fall. Naruto spent the next year training and taking increasingly dangerous missions. He defeated the Otsutsuki threat, but there were still challenges out there. Powerful missing Nin, ancient threats awakening, forbidden techniques being unleashed by desperate enemies. None of them were strong enough to make him use Bankai. Most didn't even require Shikai. He was standing at the peak of power, looking down at a world that couldn't challenge him anymore, and it was starting to get boring. Nozarashi, he said during a training session, when do I get to use Bankai again? When you find an opponent worthy of it, or when the world faces a threat that requires your absolute power. So never. Be patient. Your legend has spread across dimensions now. Beings beyond this world know your name. Someone will come eventually. Eventually isn't now. Then make your own challenges. Push yourself harder. Find new ways to grow. Naruto thought about that. He defeated every enemy the world could throw at him, crushed criminal organizations, killed legendary threats, beaten beings from other dimensions. What was left? The answer came in the form of a challenge from Sasuke. I want a rematch, the Uchiha said. 3 years ago, you beat me at 10%. I've gotten stronger since then, mastered new techniques, pushed my Mangekyo to its limits and beyond. So, Naruto was eating ramen, so I want to see how far I've come. Fight me seriously. No holding back, no restricting yourself. I want to face the real battle beast. Naruto looked at his former teammate. Sasuke had grown stronger. His chakra signature was legitimate now, his power approaching Kage level, but he was still nowhere near Naruto's league, still. You want me to go all out? Naruto's grin was sharp. I'm sure. Even if I lose, even if you destroy me, I want to see the gap. I want to understand what I'm aiming for. All right, Naruto set down his bowl, but when I crush you, don't complain. You asked for this. They fought in the Valley of the End, the same place they'd clashed years ago. Sasuke had evolved tremendously. His Mangekyo Sharingan had awakened the eternal form through mysterious means. His Susanoo was perfected. His techniques were refined and deadly. His power was genuinely impressive. Against Naruto at 20%, he lasted 8 minutes. Against Naruto at 30%, he lasted 4. Against Naruto at 50% with Shikai active, he lasted 90 seconds. That's the gap, Naruto said, standing over the defeated Uchiha. Between you and me, between anyone in this world and me. You're strong, Sasuke, really strong, but you're not even close to my level. I know, Sasuke gasped. I can see it now. The difference. It's not just power, it's something fundamental. You exist on a different scale. Yeah, Naruto offered him a hand, but you're getting there. Keep training, keep pushing, and maybe one day you'll actually make me use Bankai. That's the goal. Sasuke took the hand, even if it takes decades. Word of the fight spread quickly. Sasuke Uchiha, one of the strongest shinobi alive, had been crushed in minutes by the battle beast at half power. The message was clear. Nobody could challenge Naruto anymore. He was simply too far beyond everyone else. The realization left Naruto feeling empty. He'd spent his entire life seeking stronger opponents, fighting harder battles, pushing himself to new limits. And now he'd reached a point where the world had nothing left to offer. Is this it? He asked Nozarashi one night. Is this what it means to be the strongest? Just boredom? No, his sword replied. Being the strongest means accepting responsibility. You have power beyond anyone in this world, power that could protect or destroy. What you do with that power defines who you are. I'm a fighter. That's all I am, all I want to be. Then fight for something beyond yourself. Protect this world so it can produce stronger opponents. Train others so they can eventually challenge you. Use your strength to create the battles you crave. Naruto thought about that. He'd never considered himself a teacher, never wanted responsibility beyond finding the next fight. But maybe Nozarashi had a point. If he wanted worthy opponents, he'd have to create them. So Naruto started training others. Not officially. He still refused Jonin promotion and hated paperwork. But he began taking on students, people who showed potential, who had that spark of combat genius that might one day let them challenge him. Sasuke was the first. The Uchiha trained obsessively under Naruto's brutal regimen, pushing his Mangekyo and Susanoo to new heights. He'd never reached Naruto's level, but he was getting stronger. Next came a young ninja named Rock Lee, who couldn't use ninjutsu, but had incredible physical ability. Naruto saw potential there, someone who understood that raw power and determination could overcome natural talent. Then a genius kunoichi named Tenten who specialized in weapons. Naruto taught her how to channel spiritual pressure into her arsenal, creating techniques that transcended normal ninja methods. Even Sakura approached him, asking to learn how to combine her medical techniques with combat applications. Naruto showed her how to use spiritual pressure to enhance her already impressive strength. None of them would ever reach his level, but they grew stronger under his teaching, became Jonin, developed techniques that made them legends in their own right, and Naruto found satisfaction in watching them grow. It wasn't the same as fighting. Nothing would ever match the thrill of combat. But seeing others push their limits, watching potential become reality, that was something. Years passed. Naruto turned 18, then 20, then 25. His reputation grew from battle beast of Konoha to strongest being in existence. Stories about him spread to every nation, every village, every corner of the world. Children grew up hearing about the man who'd killed gods and never lost a fight. Warriors trained hoping to one day challenge him, and Naruto continued searching for that perfect battle. It came on his 26th birthday. A dimensional rift opened above Konoha, larger than any before, and from it emerged something that made even Naruto's instincts scream danger. Finally, a voice echoed from the rift. I found you, the one who killed Ishiki, the battle beast who dares defy the Otsutsuki clan. A figure descended from the portal, larger than Ishiki, more powerful than Momoshiki, radiating an energy that felt fundamentally wrong. I am Shibai Otsutsuki, the being announced, the true king of our clan, the one who has transcended godhood itself, and I have come to erase you from existence. Naruto looked up at the massive Otsutsuki and grinned. Nozarashi, he said, remember when you said I'd find an opponent worthy of Bankai? I remember. I think this is it. He drew his sword, and the entire world seemed to hold its breath. This would be the final battle, the ultimate test. Everything Naruto had trained for, every fight he'd survived, every limit he'd pushed, it all led to this moment. The battle beast versus the Otsutsuki god. You look strong, Naruto said, his grin wild and manic. Really strong. Strong enough to make me excited. So let's skip the warm-up and go straight to the good part. He removed his eye patch. The spiritual pressure that erupted made reality itself seem to crack. Shibai's own overwhelming power clashed with it, creating a shockwave that forced every ninja in Konoha to evacuate. This wasn't a fight that mortals could witness. Impressive, Shibai said. Your power is tremendous for a primitive, but I have existed beyond time itself. Mastered abilities that transcend dimensions. You cannot. Stop talking. Naruto gripped Nozarashi with both hands. If you're really that strong, prove it. Otherwise, you're just another disappointment. Shibai's response was to unleash techniques that operated on a cosmic scale, reality manipulation that could reshape existence, time dilation that made seconds into eternities, power that had destroyed entire civilizations. Naruto met it with pure spiritual pressure and a smile. Yes, this is what I've been waiting for. They clashed in the sky above Konoha, their battle creating phenomena that could be seen from neighboring countries. Lightning that wasn't lightning. Explosions that weren't explosions. Power that existed beyond normal comprehension. And for the first time since Ishiki, Naruto was actually being pushed. Shibai was stronger than any Otsutsuki before him. His techniques were perfected through eons of existence. His power was absolute in ways that transcended normal strength. But Naruto was the battle beast, and the battle beast never stopped growing. Drink, Nozarashi! The Shikai transformation erupted, the massive cleaver blazing with golden spiritual pressure. Naruto's power jumped to roughly 50%, and suddenly the fight became even. They traded blows that carved canyons in the landscape. Shibai's reality manipulation versus Naruto's overwhelming force. Otsutsuki power versus spiritual pressure concentrated to its limits. You're strong. Naruto's laugh was wild. Way stronger than Ishiki. This is perfect. Foolish child, Shibai said. I am beyond your comprehension. I have transcended the very concept of strength. You cannot. Naruto punched through his defense and drove the Otsutsuki into the ground hard enough to create a crater visible from space. You talk too much. Naruto descended like a meteor. Nozarashi raised. Less philosophy, more fighting. They fought for an hour, an impossible duration for combat at that level. Normal humans would have died from exhaustion. Most ninja would have run out of chakra. But Naruto and Shibai were beyond such limitations. And slowly, gradually, Naruto started winning. His constant adaptation was working. Every technique Shibai used, Naruto learned to counter. Every pattern became predictable. Every attack less effective. The battle beast's evolution was unstoppable. Impossible. Shibai's composure finally broke. How are you adapting to abilities that exist beyond time itself? How are you growing stronger mid-combat against someone of my level? Because that's what I do. Naruto's grin was savage. I fight, I adapt, I grow, and I never stop getting stronger. That's what makes me the battle beast. Shibai unleashed his ultimate technique, a power that had destroyed dimensions, erased timelines, ended civilizations. Reality itself began to unravel around them, and Naruto realized Shikai wasn't enough. Finally, he said, his voice filled with pure joy, an opponent worthy of my full power. He gripped Nozarashi with both hands and felt his spiritual pressure surge to levels he'd never reached before. Bankai. The transformation was instantaneous and overwhelming. Naruto's body shifted into its demonic form, red skin covered in black markings, hair growing wild and long, eyes blazing with power that seemed to burn reality itself. His spiritual pressure became so intense that it created its own gravity well. The ground beneath him didn't crack, it simply ceased to exist, disintegrated by the sheer weight of his presence. This was Naruto at 100%. The battle beast unleashed. What? Is this power? Shibai's voice actually carried fear for the first time in eons. This is what happens when you give me a real fight. Naruto's voice was deeper, rougher, barely human. This is my Bankai. This is everything I am. He moved. Shibai, who had existed beyond time, who had mastered techniques that transcended dimensions, couldn't track the movement. Naruto's fist connected with the Otsutsuki god's chest and sent him flying through 3 mountains. Come on! Naruto's laugh was primal, bestial. You're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to be beyond comprehension. Show me everything you've got. What followed was the most brutal, intense, absolutely devastating combat the world had ever witnessed. Shibai threw techniques that could end universes. Naruto punched through them like they were paper. The Otsutsuki used reality manipulation that should have unmade existence. Naruto's spiritual pressure was so overwhelming it simply rejected the changes. They fought across landscapes, through dimensions, in spaces that shouldn't exist. Every clash created explosions that threatened to tear reality apart. Every exchange of power rewrote the rules of what was possible. And Naruto was completely, utterly, absolutely in his element. Yes, yes, this is it. His voice was pure battle lust. This is what I've been waiting for. Someone who makes me use everything. Shibai was losing. The Otsutsuki god, who had transcended godhood itself, who had existed beyond time, who had never known defeat, was being systematically destroyed by a 26-year-old who existed purely to fight. This cannot be, Shibai gasped, his body cracking under the pressure. I am eternal. I am absolute. I cannot fall to a mere. Naruto's final strike, a punch channeling every ounce of his spiritual pressure, every bit of his Bankai's power, every second of growth and adaptation, connected with Shibai's chest. The resulting explosion could be felt across dimensions. When it cleared, Shibai Otsutsuki, The transcendent God, the eternal being, the one who existed beyond time itself, was nothing but dispersing energy. Naruto stood in the center of a devastated wasteland, his Bankai still active, breathing hard and grinning like a madman. That, he said to nobody in particular, was perfect. The aftermath of Shibai's defeat was felt across the entire world. Naruto had killed a being that existed beyond normal comprehension. He'd used his Bankai form for the first time in years and proven that nothing, not gods, not dimensional threats, not beings beyond time itself, could match the battle beast. The shinobi world held its breath, waiting to see what he would do next. Naruto sealed his Bankai, returning to his normal form, and walked back to Konoha. "That was fun," he said to Tsunade when he reported the battle. "Best fight I've had in years." "You destroyed 3 countries' worth of landscape," Tsunade said weakly. "The damage is going to cost. Worth it. Shibai was actually strong, made me use Bankai and everything." "Naruto," Tsunade looked at him seriously, "you've now defeated every threat this world, and apparently other worlds can produce. What are you going to do now?" Naruto thought about it. He'd reached the absolute peak of power, fought every enemy worth fighting, pushed his limits beyond what anyone thought possible. He was the strongest being in existence, and nothing could challenge him anymore. So what was left? "I'm going to keep training," he said eventually. "Keep pushing myself. Because even if there's nobody strong enough to fight me now, that doesn't mean there won't be someone eventually. And when they show up, I want to be ready." "You're never satisfied, are you?" "Nope," Naruto grinned. "Satisfaction is boring. Growth is fun. So I'll keep growing until I find someone who can actually beat me. That's never going to happen. Maybe, maybe not. But it's more fun to keep trying." Tsunade could only shake her head. The battle beast would never change. He'd always be searching for that next fight, that next challenge, that next level. And honestly, the world was better for it. Because as long as Naruto existed, as long as he kept growing stronger, no threat would ever be able to destroy them. The strongest shield was one that loved to fight. Years continued to pass. Naruto never stopped training, never stopped pushing his limits. He taught more students, developed new techniques, refined his mastery over Bankai until he could maintain it for hours instead of minutes. He fought occasional threats, powerful missing nin, ancient evils awakening, dimensional rifts spawning monsters, but none of them required his full power. Most didn't even require Shikai. The world had simply run out of opponents worthy of the battle beast. At 30 years old, Naruto stood on the Hokage monument, the same place he'd stood countless times before, and looked out over Konoha. The village had grown, prospered, became the strongest nation in the world, specifically because he existed within its borders. His students had become legendary in their own right. Sasuke led missions that other villages considered impossible. Lee had mastered taijutsu to levels that rivaled the legendary Might Guy. Sakura commanded the medical corps and could heal injuries that should have been fatal. None of them would ever reach his level. But they'd become strong, respectable, warriors worth acknowledging. "Nozarashi," Naruto said to his sword, "do you think I'll ever find another fight like Shibai?" "Honestly, probably not." The blade's voice was calm. "You've reached a level that exists beyond this world's capacity to challenge. You've defeated gods, transcended limitations, become something that shouldn't exist. So what do I do now?" "Whatever you want. You're the battle beast of Konoha, the strongest being in existence, the legend that will outlive generations. What you do with that is up to you." Naruto thought about it. He lived his entire life for combat. Every decision, every action, every moment focused on becoming stronger and finding worthy opponents. He'd achieved that goal beyond any reasonable measure. So what came next? The answer came in the form of a challenge from an unexpected source. Tsunade appeared beside him on the monument, moving with the grace of someone who'd mastered chakra enhancement. "Naruto," she said, "I'm retiring as Hokage. The village needs new leadership." "Okay, pick someone strong." "I'm picking you." Naruto stared at her. "What?" "You're the strongest person alive. The most legendary ninja in history. The one who saved this world more times than anyone can count. The village needs you as Hokage." "I don't want to be Hokage. Too much paperwork." "I know, but consider this. As Hokage, you'd be responsible for training the next generation, for ensuring Konoha produces warriors strong enough to eventually challenge you, for creating the future opponents you've been searching for. That made Naruto pause. He'd never considered leadership as a path to stronger fights. But Tsunade had a point. If he controlled Konoha's training programs, influenced how shinobi developed, created systems that produced genuinely powerful warriors, maybe one day someone would grow strong enough to actually challenge him. Fine, he said eventually. But I'm not doing the paperwork. You find someone else for that. Deal. Naruto Uzumaki became the 6th Hokage at age 30. The ceremony was attended by representatives from every major nation. The 5 Kage stood together, acknowledging the man who'd saved their world repeatedly. Civilians and ninja alike cheered for the battle beast who protected them for decades. Naruto stood before them wearing the Hokage robes and hat, Nozarashi strapped to his back, his eye patch in place. And he gave the shortest inauguration speech in history. I'm the Hokage now. I'll protect Konoha by being too strong for anyone to attack. I'll train warriors who might one day challenge me, and I'll keep getting stronger until I find someone who can actually beat me. That's my promise as Hokage. The crowd went wild. As Hokage, Naruto transformed Konoha's shinobi program. He implemented brutal training regimens that pushed students beyond their limits, created missions specifically designed to force growth through combat, established a new ranking system that measured warriors by their ability to challenge increasingly powerful opponents. Under his leadership, Konoha became a village of combat specialists. Every ninja trained not just to complete missions, but to grow stronger through conflict. It was the Battle Beast philosophy applied to an entire village. And it worked. Within 5 years, Konoha had produced more Jonin-level ninja than the other 4 villages combined. Its warriors were feared across nations. Its reputation as the strongest military force was uncontested. But more importantly, to Naruto at least, some of its students were actually becoming interesting. A young genius named Kawaki who could absorb chakra and transform his body through scientific modifications. A prodigy called Boruto who'd inherited tremendous potential from his lineage. Warriors who pushed themselves to absolute limits seeking strength. None of them would reach Naruto's level in his lifetime, but they were getting there, and that gave him hope. Naruto served as Hokage for 20 years. During that time, he defeated 3 more dimensional threats, crushed 2 attempted invasions, and personally trained over 50 Jonin who became legendary in their own right. He never removed his eye patch during those years, never activated Shikai. Doinen never came close to needing Bankai, because nothing that challenged Konoha was strong enough to make him try. At 50 years old, Naruto stood on the Hokage monument again, looking out over a village that had become the strongest in history. His hair was longer now, his face marked by time, but his eyes still held that same manic joy when he thought about combat. Nozarashi, he said, I think it's time to retire. You're giving up? Nah, just stepping down. Let someone else handle the paperwork while I focus on what I'm good at. Fighting. Fighting. Naruto appointed Sasuke as the 7th Hokage. The Uchiha had finally grown strong enough to at least survive a few hits from Naruto at 30% and stepped down from the position. He spent his remaining years doing what he loved most, training, fighting, and searching for challenges. At 70, he could still defeat any Jonin in the village without trying. At 80, he sparred with Boruto, now a legendary Jonin himself, and beat him using one hand. At 90, he fought a dimensional rift that spawned monsters and crushed them with spiritual pressure alone. He never found another opponent worthy of Bankai, but he never stopped looking. On his 100th birthday, Naruto stood on the Hokage monument one final time. The village below had grown beyond anything he'd imagined. Skyscrapers touched the clouds, advanced technology mixed with ninja techniques. Konoha had become a beacon of strength that illuminated the entire shinobi world, and it was all because of him. Nozarashi, he said quietly, we've had a good run. The best, his sword replied. You became everything you wanted to be, the strongest, the battle beast, a legend that will never be forgotten. But I never found it. Found what? That perfect opponent, the one who could make me use everything, who could actually beat me. Naruto smiled despite the sadness in his voice. I fought gods and monsters and beings from beyond time, but none of them were quite good enough. Maybe that's okay. Maybe being the strongest means accepting that some battles will never happen. Maybe. Naruto looked out over the village one last time, his eye patch still in place, Nozarashi still strapped to his back. He'd lived 100 years, fought countless battles, protected his village through sheer overwhelming power, trained generations of warriors, become a legend that would outlive civilizations. But he'd never lost that fundamental desire, the hunger for a real fight, the need for a worthy opponent, the dream of someone strong enough to push him past his limits. "You know what?" Naruto said. "I'm not done yet." "What? I'm not dying here. Not like this. Not without finding that perfect fight." He turned away from the monument. "So I'm leaving." "Leaving? Where?" "Everywhere. Other dimensions, other worlds, other realities." Naruto's grin returned, that same manic battle joy he'd carried since childhood. "If this world doesn't have anyone strong enough, I'll find a world that does. You're 100 years old. And I can still fight, still grow stronger, still search for challenges." Naruto drew Nozarashi, the blade responding to his spiritual pressure. "So that's what I'm gonna do, until I find someone who can actually beat me, or until I die trying." "That's insane. That's me." Naruto opened a dimensional rift, a technique he developed after fighting so many Otsutsuki, and stepped toward it. Behind him, Konoha celebrated his birthday, the village he'd protected and shaped and led to greatness. The home he defended for a century. He didn't look back, because the battle beast only looked forward, toward the next fight, the next challenge, the next opponent who might finally be strong enough. "Nozarashi," he said as he stepped into the rift, "let's find someone worth fighting." "After you, partner." The dimensional portal closed behind Naruto Uzumaki, the battle beast of Konoha, the strongest being in existence, the legend who'd shaped a century of history. And somewhere, in some other world, some other dimension, some other reality, someone strong enough to challenge him was waiting. Naruto couldn't wait to find them. Epilogue, the legacy. 100 years after Naruto disappeared into the dimensional rift, Konoha still stood as the strongest village in the world. The Hokage monument had been expanded to include all 7 leaders, with Naruto's face carved larger than the others, a testament to his overwhelming influence. In the academy, children learned about the battle beast, about how he defeated gods, protected the village, and become the strongest being in existence, about how he'd never stopped searching for worthy opponents. Some said he died in some distant dimension, finally finding someone strong enough to beat him. Others claimed he was still out there, still fighting, still growing stronger. The truth didn't matter. What mattered was his legacy. Every ninja in Konoha trained with the battle beast's philosophy: fight to grow stronger, seek worthy opponents, never stop pushing your limits. The village had become a monument to combat excellence, producing warriors that made other nations tremble. And sometimes, just sometimes, dimensional rifts would open above the village. Nothing would emerge. No threats or enemies. Just a feeling, a presence, a spiritual pressure so overwhelming that Jonin would fall to their knees and Jinin would faint. And those who'd known Naruto would smile, because they recognized that pressure. The battle beast was still out there, still fighting, still searching for that perfect opponent. And one day, maybe in 100 years, maybe in 1,000, he'd return, with stories of battles that transcended comprehension, with scars from enemies that existed beyond reality, with that same manic grin and hunger for combat, because Naruto Uzumaki, the battle beast of Konoha, would never stop fighting. That was what made him a legend. That was what made him immortal, not through power or longevity, but through the fundamental truth of who he was, a warrior who existed purely to fight, a monster who measured the world by strength, a battle-obsessed genius who'd become something beyond mortal comprehension, the strongest being in existence. And somewhere, in some distant dimension, he was having the time of his life, fighting, growing stronger, searching for that opponent who would finally push him to his absolute limit. The battle beast story would never truly end, because as long as there were challenges to face and opponents to fight, Naruto Uzumaki would be there, grinning like a madman, wielding Nozarashi, ready for war. The end.
If this demonic transformation blew your mind, smash that subscribe button right now. We're crafting more insane character fusions and epic crossover concepts you won't find anywhere else. Drop a comment telling us which warrior should get the fusion treatment next. Your support fuels our creative fire.